Hey guys, Sean Media just want to do a big shout out to Rugby League, Coffee Lounge. All the best this year. 2020.
Alright, oh, yeah. Fuck. Rugby League is back. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to the NRL 2023 season preview and predictions. And to help me preview the 2023 NRL season, I'm joined by some massive specials tonight. First things first, hello, PG. Thanks for making an appearance, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
All good, Nick. Honoured to be here. Let's hope the dodo bird doesn't get us tonight.
Praying.
Let's pray. Normal season
My
pray.
internet's a bit slow, I'm not going to lie. I was a bit like really. My internet's a bit slow at the moment, so hopefully all goes well. And also, we're joined by Rugby League YouTuber royalty ProEnzo Vidz. Mr. ProEnzo, how are you doing this evening? How are you doing, sir?
Yes, Nick, I'm going really well, and look, I'm looking forward to this massive preview ahead. It's going to be great, and now let's get into it.
And we're also joined by Master CJ MOXLEY. How you going, bro?
Yeah, I'll take the name Master. Yeah, I'm good, man. Obviously pumped to be on the preview for the season, and we're only 2 weeks away now, man, so getting pumped for it.
Yeah. Just before we start,
We are 2 weeks.
I think CJ should go by his new nickname. Number
Masters.
1 Roosters fanatic. Number one Roosters fan, CJ MOXLEY.
Right, there's a lot more things in this world I'd do than do that.
Well, a great preview tonight, boys. My internet seems to be cutting in and out from time to time, so hopefully it holds up, but it's a bit slow apparently. So hope it all goes well. Guys, we are literally 2 weeks and 10 minutes from the first game of the year between Parramatta and Melbourne. I cannot wait for that game to start the year off. Before we get into the season preview, I want to say hello to the live chat. We're getting a bit of a crowd in here now. We've got about 18 people as we speak. Hello to Jilla. Hello to Manly Seagulls Fanatic 1993. SS Storm fan is here. Cody Games PlayStation. We've got Rishi all the way from the UK in the live chat. Hello to everyone that's tuning in. William Pearson, Kieran Sports Vlogs. We've got Flo Senpai, Jason Reader, Luke Melbourne Storm fan. Everyone rolling in here now. Against PlayStation. I hope you guys are very well for your, what'll be Thursday night, 2023. And we're also by the Wobble and Jaw Sports channel, who is now in the live chat. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Sam.
Damn Rebel.
What a good man he is. All right, boys. I think it's time to get into the season previews.
Let's fucking go.
Let's do it.
It's time. Now, we are going to be on air for probably at least an hour tonight. We're going to preview every single team, all 17 clubs. We're going to be revealing a Dally M prediction, our top try scorer, top point scorer, grand final prediction, grand final winner. We're going to be revealing all tonight. So let's get into the first team. They're in no particular order, but you know what? Let's start with our friends over in the Dutch. Let's start with the New Zealand Warriors.
The Warriors.
Let's get in there to start off with the New Zealand Warriors 2023 season preview that kept the game running when there was a pandemic. The Warriors. All right. First thing I want to do is I want to go to who they've gained and who they've lost. So I'm just going to read out to you guys what they've got and what they've lost. If I can bloody find them. Here they are, the Warriors. So the Warriors, what they've gained for 2023. Marata Niokore, Luke Metcalf, Dylan Walker, Mitch Barnett, Charles Nickel Klukstad, Tamari Martin, Jackson Ford, and Braden Williami. And what they've lost, Cody Nikarima, Matt Lodge, Jesse Arthurs, Ewan Aiken, Reece Walsh, Eli Katoa, Jack Murphy, Ben Manock Masilla, Dejan Assi, Patterson Rabati, and Ash Failure. What do you think, boys? The Warriors, have I got the game? Have I got?
Bro.
What do you think about the Warriors? What do you think about the Warriors?
When you were rattling off the games, I thought, oh, this Warriors side's improving a little bit. And then you went to the losses. And honestly, I think they're a side that sort of probably stays the same in terms of their quality on paper this year. I'm upset as just an NRL fan in general. The NRL gave them no sort of leeway. I know we want to be fair, but the fact they couldn't get, something as simple as they get every home game, maybe I could understand, throw them a bit of salary cap, fucking extra, a few bonus K's in there. But I think 2023 might be similar to 2022. They might struggle a bit more, but I think we'll get a clear sense of direction. We'll see if maybe Chance is the fullback going forward. We'll see if Metcalf slots into their starting 17. I think what'll be interesting about the Warriors this year as well is Sean Johnson. Maybe this could be his final year, especially if it doesn't improve. So I probably think the Warriors are going to end up finishing where they did last year, unless this Webster coach just turns them into Penrith. Although I don't really see that happening.
I think the other thing with the Warriors as well is they have another new coach. They've gone through so many new coaches over the years, and it hasn't made any difference to them whatsoever. They're still in the same spot they have been since probably 2019. I mean, 2018 they did play finals. They haven't done anything since that. It's really hard to get a read on the New Zealand Warriors, or what I should be called now is the One New Zealand Warriors, but I'm not going to call them that stupid new name they've got in their bloody DNA. I don't know. I think they've bought well. I think Barnett and Niokore and Dylan Walker are going to be good for them. I think they've definitely gained a lot, especially with Charles Nickel Klukstad going there. I do like the Warriors on paper, but outside of New Zealand, that's where they seem to struggle. How many games are the Warriors going to win in Sydney when they play down there? How many games are they going to win in Queensland? Can they win away from New Zealand? They can, but they're not a consistent side to do so. So it's really hard to see the Warriors making the top 8 this year, but I think they're one of those sides where if they click and get it right, it's not impossible, ProEnzo Vidz.
Oh, no, it's not. I mean, the Warriors this year, they are a very intriguing side. Like, I think with them, it's like they can do so many good things if they get their potential right, but they can also fail and they can, easily hit rock bottom. So I think with them, it's like, it's going to be a very interesting year because they're back in New Zealand and, a lot of changes as there's a new coach and some new players. So I think if they do finish any lower than I'd say maybe 13th this year, then it's a real foul in my opinion because they've got quite a bit of things going for them in 2023. So, look, I personally like them coming into this year, but, they've got some worries, I think, especially in the back line.
CJ, do you rate the Warriors? Do you like the squad? Do you like the gains? Or do you think they've lost a bit too much?
Yeah, they've lost a lot, but I really do like their additions. Another thing that will help the Warriors is that they're now got an established spine, so they know what this spine's going to be. I like the addition of Mitchell Barnett. I think he's going to add a lot more than people might think. Dylan Walker, being that versatility player, is something that I thought they needed, so that's going to help a lot. Yeah, I think the Warriors, they're rocks and diamonds type of team. It depends how they go away from New Zealand, but I think they could make a sneaky charge to the finals, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Paddy G, I'm going to ask you this on the Warriors. Are they a finals team? Are they a bottom 8 team? What's your prediction for the Warriors this season?
I think the top 8 this year, it might be the hardest top 8 to ever crack into. I mean, we're all expecting the Roosters and Rabbitohs to have better seasons than they did last year. And look, we all expect the Cowboys and Sharks to stay where they were. So there's not many spots in the 8 to be honest, outside of the Raiders, everyone who finished in that top 7 last year looks like they're probably going to finish there again. Although, trust me, that's not my top 7. But I just think there's too many teams above them still. I just don't know how the Warriors are going to play it. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. They usually like to play with their big forward pack, but they've lost a lot of size. Murdoch Masilla's gone. They've lost Matt Lodge midway through last year. They've got a new coach, and their back line, look, on paper, it might be the worst 2 to 5 in the comp. But we also don't know how these young boys are going to go. So, unfortunately, I can't have them in my 8 because I still think there are a number of teams that are better than them on paper. And they've got a coach who's unproven.
Okay. All right. Official predictions. Where will they finish on the ladder? I've got the Warriors in 12th.
Yep. I'm with you exactly right. I have the Warriors 12th as well. I think that's the lowest I'll go over.
ProEnzo?
Yep, same. I have Warriors 12th.
Man, we're all going 12. Fucking hell.
I've got them. I've got a bit lower. I've got them 14th. I think they are in the. I think they go bottom.
Bottom 4, eh?
That would hurt. And I got to say, with the new coach coming in, there is a bit of unpredictability about them. So we'll see how the Warriors go. We all had them missing the 8, but every time I say that about the Warriors, I seem to end up doing something good. So we'll see how they go.
If you're a Warriors fan, you can be excited, though, because there's a lot of unproven. It's just the fact that unproven probably keeps them a bit lower for me.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to last year's grand finalist. Let's go to Parramatta. The Eels. A team that a lot of people think are going to go backwards. A lot of people are writing off the Eels this season. ProEnzo, I'll start with you on the Eels, bro. Do you think there's still going to be a consistent finals team? Do you think there's a drop off there? They lost a little bit. Actually, Lorenzo, but before I get to you, I should go through their gains and losses, actually. All right, Parramatta. They gained Josh Hodgson, Jermaine Hopgood, Jaria Momasia, Jack Murphy, and Matt Dury. And they lost Opacek, David Hollis, Reid Marnie, Oregon Kafusi, Ray Stone, Murata Niokore, and Isaiah Papali'i. Lorenzo, what's your take on the Eels, bro?
Now, I think with them, it's like, can they back up, that good season of making the grand final and stuff like that? I mean, they're not that consistent and they're not that perfect type team, in my opinion, but they are a team that usually knows how to win and seems to be competitive still, despite, I guess, having some bad moments during the season. But, I mean, they still made a grand final, so it's still something to be, I guess, proud about. But the way they went out was obviously not good. So, look, a lot of changes with losing Marnie and Papali'i, especially. They're big losses for the club. And, I guess signing Hodgson's at risk, but can be a really good one if he plays injury-free. So, could be a good replacement for Marnie if he kicks on. But, I don't know, bro. I think just in general, the Eels are not for me, a team that drop off that majorly. Like, I don't think they're going to drop as low as 5th, in my opinion. So, I do rate them pretty highly still. Look, I don't like them, but they're still going to probably be a competitive side this year. So, they're safe for me.
CJ, what's your take on Parramatta, bro? You think they're going to be playing finals again? I guess the other thing with Parramatta is, can they make another grand final? They were there last year as underdogs. Can they get there again, maybe?
Look, I'm at the opposite, and I have a feeling, just a very bad feeling, unfortunately, that they're going to drop bad. They've obviously added a few good players in. You've got, likes of Josh Hodgson. If he can stay injury-free, that's going to help him a lot. But, oh, man, I just have a bad feeling they could drop off really bad.
Paddy?
It's a hard one. I did just say the Roosters and Rabbitohs come into the top 4 after disappointing years last year. And I actually think the Eels are going to be one of the teams that make way for them. Whether they drop out of the 8, I'm not so sure about that. I can't remember, and I don't know, maybe it might have been the Cowboys in 2017-18. It's very rare that we see a team make a grand final then fall out of the top 8. They haven't got a like for like with Reid Marnie. If Josh Hodgson can get to his absolute best and he's, we can know what he can do, I think he is a bit past that. There's a bit of hype around Hopgood. At the end of the day, he's still an unproven first grader who was only in reserve grade last season. I know a lot of people are high on him. They've lost one of the best back rowers in the competition. So I don't think there's any way they can stay as good as they were. But they've still got Bolo. They've still got RCG. They also lost a bit of bench, actually. Like they lost Niokora, who's been very good for them. And they lost Kafusi, who I believe has gone to the Sharkies. So it's hard not to see the Eels dropping off. Whether they fall out of the 8, I'm not too convinced that happens. But I definitely think their premiership window is shut after last year's GF loss.
I've got to say about Parramatta now, last year, I didn't think they were any threat. They proved me wrong. All off season, I had Parramatta out of my top 8. I had them falling off a cliff. Then I look at their squad, I look at their roster, I look at how much they would have learned from that grand final defeat against Penrith. I now got a bit of finals experience about them, Parramatta. I don't see them missing the 8 at all, unless they get significant injuries in the spine. I don't see Parramatta falling off because I think they're going to play finals. I think they make the top 8 again. Where remains to be seen. I don't know if they're a top 4 side because I think some of the teams from last year that were up there got better. Like you said, Roosters and Souths. It's hard to not see them in the top 5, top 6. Parramatta probably in that conversation as well. I like what they've got. I do like the addition of Jack Murphy. I think he will fit in really well. Papali'i's a loss, but losing Papali'i, you gain another young kid to come through, like a Jack Murphy. Marnie's a loss, but again, a bit like what you said, Paddy, about Hodgson. If he stays healthy, Parramatta could have a very scary spine. So look, I'm not negative on Parramatta. I think they're in for another good season. I don't see them dropping off. I really don't. Let's reveal where they'll finish on the ladder, guys. I've got Parramatta finishing 6. I'll finish 6.
I've got Parramatta finishing 5th.
5th, okay, yep. CJ?
Yeah, this is a last-minute change. I've got them finishing 8th. I think they just get in. I think it's going to be a bit of a drop-off, unfortunately.
I've got them 7th.
7th. Okay, so we're all the same. Not top 4, but that 5 to 8 range. Fair call. All right, let's go from Parramatta and let's go to last year's Wooden Spooners. The West Tigers. Last year, we all would have laughed and then we look at them this year and we're going, okay, they've gone shopping, they've gone to the market, and they're trying to buy their way out of all the torture they've had to go through for a long time. So the West Tigers gains. They've gained Isaiah Papali'i, Api Coruscant, John Bateman, Tristan Reilly, Will Smith, David Nofaluma, Brendan Wakeham, and David Clemmer. And what they've lost, Luke Chanalei-Lua last year, Luke Garner, Kelma Tulangi, Jacob Little, Jock Madden, James Tarmo, William Kai, Oliver Gildard, and Jackson Hastings. And I should also say Zane Musgrove as well. Paddy G, what are your thoughts on the West Tigers? Do you see them holding the Wooden Spoon? What's your expectation for the West Tigers for 2023?
Well, if they don't improve, and by that I mean if they get another spoon, then that's a massive cause for concern. Their forward pack is one that I think can compete with any team on any day. But I am still concerned because we saw last year how good you'd rather have good halves with a decent forward pack than lackluster halves with a great forward pack. And although that's probably one of the best forward packs in the competition, Api Coruscant, in my opinion, is the best number 9 in the competition. We know the history with Luke Brooks and the West Tigers, and I just personally, this is a personal thing, I do not rate Adam Dewey as highly as everyone. I still think he's probably not even a top 10 number 6. I think he's very unproven, and they've got no depth now. They lost Jock Madden and they've lost Hastings. If one of those two go down, Luke Brooks will miss the start of the year. Then they've got Brendan Wakeham. We saw him struggle. He lost his number 7 starting spot last year. There's still concerns around that back line. I think it's a great forward pack. I think they can avoid the bottom 4. But if Brooks and Dewey either don't fire or they have tons of injuries, then the Tigers, no matter how good their forward pack is, no matter how good their back line is, those halves aren't doing anything for them.
Well said. Sorry about the cutout too. Like I said, internet is playing up a little bit here, my end. But I was still able to hear what you said about the Tigers. I think you make a good point. If they get injuries in the halves, they're in all sorts. They are in all sorts. ProEnzo, Tigers. Do you see much from them this year or what?
It's a tough one. I mean, they should improve if they've signed arguably the best dummy half in the comp, and they've signed, I guess, some experience and good forwards and John Bateman, David Clemmer, and I guess, just seeing how much they've, I guess, changed the way they go about things with rookies and stuff like that. They seem to have shown a bit more investment to rookies and stuff, so they are changing the way they do stuff around the club, but I don't know. It's a tough one, the Tigers, because I still think they are not going to improve as much as what I think other teams will. So they'll be they'll be decent in some games. Like their forward pack will probably aim up in some games, but I do think that they're not trusted enough to be considered a really improvement type side. So, and Tim Sheens is still a concern for me too. So it's an interesting year ahead.
What do you reckon, CJ, about the West Tigers?
Yeah, well, they've done their shopping and they've actually bought some really top quality players. But like Paddy said earlier, the halves are a big concern. The fullback battle between Dane Laurie and Charlie Staines isn't really confirmed, so they don't know who their fullback's going to be. I think a big issue at the Tigers is depth. I look at their depth and I don't really see too much. Tim Sheens is coming back after a decade away from coaching. He's got a big task on his hand. I'm 50-50 on the appointment of Api Korosia as captain. But look, man, I'm not as high on him as some people are.
Look, I hate to be negative. I really do. I don't want to be negative, but I'm going to be when I say this. This team is a fucking disaster. This team sucks. They have bottom four written all over them. They are a complete disaster. They don't even know who their fullback is. They're still deciding between Dane Laurie and Charlie Staines. Coruscant bagged him after the grand final, and he's the captain of the club. Dewey and Brooks are an absolute joke of a halves pairing. They are an embarrassment. Brendan Wakeham wouldn't even survive in the Super League. That's how bad Brendan Wakeham is. This team, outside of maybe David Clemmer, John Bateman, and Stefano, have no chance. Papali'i is going to go backwards, I reckon. Coruscant's not getting any younger. Brooks might be the worst halfback since Ash Taylor. This team is a disaster. And Tim Sheens hasn't coached NRL in God knows how long. So, look, I wish them all the best. I really do. I like to be proven wrong about the West Tigers. This team's in for a long season. I reckon they'll come 16th. They'll come second last.
If this doesn't work, and I've got a feeling, considering what we all just said, that it doesn't work. Yeah. Brooks is off contract currently. Dewey's off contract currently. I think Laurie's off November 1. Outside of Appy, they've put a lot of money into this forward pack. Johnny Bateman's proven he's willing to break a contract. He's done it at both the Raiders and Wigan now, so that's back-to-back. Isaiah Papali'i spoke all the end of last year about how he wanted to go to Eels. Are we not convinced that maybe he's just sucked it up and he's planning to go back there mid-year? If it doesn't work this year, they've put a lot of money into some of these players, and if they don't get Moses, is this a sample of you've done great for this year, but 1 step forward, 5 steps back?
It seems like it. The Tigers always do this, though. Remember 2016? They finished 9th, and then 2017 they were nowhere. What was that game? You boys remember that game against Cronulla, the afternoon game?
2019.
And then the next year they were nowhere to be seen again. They take a step forward and they do that all the time. Take a step forward and they go backwards. A
good season for the Tigers, unfortunately, is 9th. As much as we want to meme about it, that's your best season you've had since 2011.
I would say a good year for them is 13th. 13th, 14th would be a good year for them.
That's how sad the reality is.
Considering how shit the club is.
They've got to look. If this doesn't work, and Sheens doesn't work, and Bedgie doesn't work, and I've got more negatives than positives, to be honest, Look, you had a roster. We talk about they've gone out shopping. No coach wanted to touch this. Sorrella didn't want to touch it. No coach wanted this so much that Tim Sheens, the general manager of football, had to go, I'm going to have to coach you and bring in Benji Marshall from MOXLEY to coach him in 3 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, right? If Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah, and potentially Wade Graham when he retires, all coach this Tigers team, if the three of them can't get him going, nobody will. Nobody will.
I can't imagine.
I think they're in for a disaster season. I can't see them winning more than 8 games.
But how much lower can they go? Like
they can go. Technically, they can go one spot lower because there's an extra team.
They've reached.
So they can. This is the first year Wooden Spooner can actually go lower.
ProEnzo, is there anything you want to say on the Tigers, bro? Because I think we've all covered it pretty, to be honest.
Oh, look, I mean, I guess it's tough to know because they're so different now with this year and stuff. But yeah, I can't say I'll be shocked if they struggled, like you said.
Yeah. Paddy G is currently praying for the Tigers.
No, I'm getting acknowledged by Mr. Sam Revel.
Acknowledge me. All right. Where will they finish on the ladder, guys? I've got the Tigers 16th, second last.
15th. They finished in bottom 4 again. 15th.
I have them 13th.
I also have them 13th.
All right. Let's move on from the Tigers and let's go out. Let's go to the beautiful Shire. Up Cronulla, as they say out there.
Round 1.
Out there in the Shire. Cronulla. Last season was a fantastic year for them. They finished second last year and they made it all the way to the semi-finals. They were beaten by the Cowboys in week 1, which most of us were there. And then they went out against South the next week. So let's have a look at Cronulla. The gains and losses. They haven't really lost much. Oh, they lost a little bit, but they haven't gained much. They picked up Oregon Kafusi in the off-season from Parramatta. Not a bad buy there. They let go of Luke Metcalf, Franklin Pele, Lachlan Miller, and Andrew Fafita. Fafita obviously retired. Lachlan Miller went to Newcastle. Metcalf went to the Warriors. I think letting go of Franklin Pele to the Bulldogs might be one that they might regret because he's such a gun of a Cronulla, CJ. Do you rate the Sharkies this year? Are they going to have another big year again or what? What's going to happen with Cronulla Sutherland this year?
They'll be a good side, but they won't reach the limits that they did in 2022. I think Craig Fitzgibbon's an outstanding coach based on what we've already seen. I think their spine is, it's class, but the thing is with the Sharks is there's just a feeling in my gut that they're going to do worse this season. They haven't really added much, have they? They've lost more than they've added. That might not play a factor, but can Nico Hines really replicate his Dally M season? Can Matt Moylan replicate his form of last year? We don't know. But, there's a feeling that they're not going to replicate what they did last season. I'll put it at that.
Okay. Paddy, what do you think about Cronulla Sutherland?
I think they're a team that I had making room for the Rabbitohs and Roosters this year, and I sort of changed my mind because while I kept saying Ken Hines replicate the season he had, that was not just his first year at halfback. That was his first year as a full-time NRL starter. I don't remember the last time a player actually, for the first time, was given a starting spot that went on to win the Dally M medal. So I think Hines can easily improve, and I think he actually will have a better season than he did. We'll get into Dally M's a bit later. But I feel like to win the NRL these days, and we've seen it with Penrith, we saw it with the Roosters, and we saw it with Melbourne the past 5 to 6 years, you need more than one superstar. And outside of Nico Hines, Matty Moylan had the best season he's had in a long time. I'm not sure if he can take another level realistically. I'm not sure if Will Kennedy can go to another level. Young Brayley, he's still very, very young still, so maybe he can be the one to go to another level. But outside of that, a few aging forwards. Can Toby Rudolph, can he improve his game? Dale Finucane's a year older, so I think they're still going to be in the top 4, but I still think that they're going to be a level below the 3 teams that I have who are going to be the contenders this year.
Okay, well said. ProEnzo, what do you think about Cronulla this season, mate?
Look, I think Cronulla, to me, are still going to be a team where, they'll show a bit more of what they did last year. And, I think they'll still be a good side. But I think, yeah, I got to agree. I think they'll, drop off a little bit just because, second year syndrome, and I think, it's hard to replicate the same form and be the same sort of club for again another season where the Sharks themselves are not even that proven as a final side quite yet. But I do think in saying that though, they are still a tough, gritty type side, and I think with Craig Fitzgibbon just re-signing as well, and Nico Hines to stay for long term as well. It's just like it's another boost. So I do think there's a lot of factors for the Sharks this year to make them a good side. So I like them.
I don't see much of a drop-off for Cronulla at all. Obviously, it would be very impressive if they finish second again. I still think they're going to be a contender. I think they've got... See, the thing is, I usually don't like it when teams keep a very similar team from the previous year. But realistically, what they did, so they picked up a really good prop in Oregon Kaufusi. I think he's a really good addition. They lost Fafita, and I believe Tolman left as well, unless I'm wrong in saying about Aiden Tolman. They let go of some dead weight, to be honest. They let go of dead weight, to be honest, Cronulla, and they gain a really good prop in Kaufusi. I like that addition a lot. With all due respect to Fafita and Tolman, they were dead weight last year. They were old, slow, washed up. They had to go. Oregon Kaufusi is a weapon. I'm a little bit annoyed they let go of Franklin Pele because I rate him highly. I think he's a really good prop coming through. They've got some really good depth in the outside backs, like someone like Connor Tracy can come in and do a job. Braden Trindle's a good backup half as well. Cronulla, I would be very surprised if they weren't in the top 6. If they finish 7th or 8th, that would be probably considered as a bit of a disappointment for them, in my opinion, considering of how good they were last season. I like what they're doing. They're very hard to beat at Shark Park. Nico Hines, he will be targeted a lot more this year, but then that just it's going to give an opportunity to some of the younger players, like Paddy was saying before. Brayley and Moylan and Kennedy will have to do a bit more, and that's probably a good challenge for them for this season. So I don't see the Sharks missing the 8 at all. I think they're in for a big season, boys. Big season.
All right.
Where do we think they'll finish on the ladder this year, boys?
Sharks. I had them 7th, actually.
7th, okay.
Yep, so I have them missing to 4 as well. I have them in 6.
6. Paddy?
I got them 4th.
I've got them 4th as well. Cronulla to finish 4th. I think that'll be hard to beat. All right. Now let's move on from Cronulla. Let's go to the Tricolours, the Roosters. CJ Moxley's most hated team. The Tookies.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The one of the competition favourites. The Sydney Roosters. Now, let's have a look at what they've got and what they've lost in the off-season. So, the Roosters, they have picked up Brandon Smith, Jackson Paulo, Jake Turpin, and Corey Allen. And they've lost Freddie Lussick, Ronald Volkman, Daniel Saluga Fafita, Lockie Lamb, Siwa Takiyaho, Adam Kieran, Sam Verrills, and Kevin Nkwama. They've lost a bit, but I think the obvious one is the addition of Brendan Smith and Jackson Paulo. Paddy, the Roosters, I'm sure they're one of your contenders. What do you think about the Roosters going into this season?
Jackson Bowler, winger of the year. Look, on paper, this starting 17 might be one of the best ever. And people might go shock. I do mean on paper. James Tedesco, just arguably on consistency at this point, is probably unanimously the best fullback in the competition. They've got the luxury of moving arguably the game's best winger from last year, Suli, into the centers. They've also got the best center in the game, and Joey Manu, who could probably come in and be a top 3 fullback. The halves, I think they finally figured it out. We saw that last year, and people are forgetting they're adding literally the hooker of the year from 2 years ago. So, look, a bit of a spoiler for later, but I've already put my predictions video out there. In my opinion, they're probably the biggest challenge to Penrith, because if they can get this to click, then they're going to be very hard to beat. However, just Robbo's shown in 2018 when they first got Cronk, and last year, it can take him a while to get going. And last year, not getting into the top 4 despite their awesome run ended up costing them to go further in the finals because they wanted to get into a punch-up with the Rabbitohs, which we all love to see. But I think that Robbo will learn from last year, and I think that this Roosters team, come the end of the year, are going to be one scary side.
All right, CJ, explain to us how the Roosters don't do well this year. Obviously, you're a South fan, so you're gonna give it to them. But you've been saying privately that the Roosters are going to be the flops of the year. They're going to miss top 4. Yeah. Explain to me why that's going to happen. I'd love to hear it.
All right. Well, let's start off with your first obvious one. His name's Luke Keary, correct? How do I say this respectfully? I don't think he's even going to be fit all year. And if you're going to put someone like Joey Manu in at 6, he's not an established 5'8". So that's where the first struggle begins. Say that Luke Keary does stay fit all year. I don't think he really has it much anymore, but he does. The Brandon Smith addition, now, that's a really good signing. It's a top signing. I'm not going to deny that. But when he comes off, who comes on for him? Jake Turpin, I believe.
Connor Watson,
Jake Turpin. Well, he's not an 80-minute hooker, will he? Will he play 80 minutes? No.
I believe the plan will be Turpin comes on for him and he'll go to lock. There'll be a rotation between Turpin, Smith, and Radley.
Correct. So, yeah. CJ, continue.
Yeah, look, and also that's the other thing. Their injury toll. They've had a lot of luck with their injuries for the last couple of years, and like Paddy said earlier, they're slow starts. It always happens, and I think, especially in this competition this year nowadays, you can't start slow like that. Look, I just feel like Sawali, I don't like him, but to me, he hasn't really proven anything. He's had one season.
One season. Okay, that's fair.
I don't know. I'm not really too high on him yet. If he can replicate what he did last season, I'll give him his credit. But yeah, dude. Like, I think everyone's underestimating the loss of Takiaho as well. I agree with that. And look, dude, I think an issue with the Roosters over the last few years after the back-to-back premiership is, I think they've lost some of their games due to the lack of discipline. I think that comes to hurt them a few times, especially in like games against us or Penrith or Melbourne. No, I'm not
CJ,
on them at all, man. Yep.
They are one of the most penalised teams in the comp, so that is true.
Yep, and look, man, just as a South fan and just in my actual opinion, I'm not high on them at all.
Okay.
I've got a question, and we'll get to Lorenzo in a minute, obviously.
Yep.
Radley and Hargraves. You add Matt Lodge to that. The week before they decimated South, I know Murray went off in the first few minutes, but they clean sweep. Like, they dominate. They were not winning that game from the first minute. They play the next week with Radley and Hargraves, one of the game's best props, one of the game's best locks. And they both get sin bin twice, which cost the Roosters pretty much. Well, one of the reasons the Roosters lost, Radley got binned in the first minute or whatever.
Yeah.
They're a better side, maybe, without, not in a one-off game, but in terms of trying to get into the top 4. Like, Radley and Hargraves, in my opinion, need to, for lack of a better, need to clean it up, need to grow up, because but they need to pull their heads in. Because if Radley spends another 6 weeks suspended, if Hargraves spends another 4 weeks suspended, it's going to do what it did last year. It's going to cost them a top 4 spot. And anything can happen in a one-off game. We saw the craziest one-off game in that finals game last year. The Roosters were coming into the side, despite finishing 6th, as the second biggest premiership favourite according to Sportsbet with the bookies. And they just bounced first round because their discipline was absolutely shocking. To CJ's point, the Rabbitohs have actually absolutely bitched the Roosters the past few years because of their discipline. Are they better? If they don't clean it up, in terms of regular season, are they a better side without Radley and JWH?
I think they need Radley.
I don't know if you lads would agree with this. I look at their bench this season. I think it's pretty weak. I don't know about yous.
Egan Butcher, Collins,
Good quality.
Watson.
Collins is another
Fletcher
concern
Baker.
for me, man. Collins is another concern, and like who's going to play in that like outside back positions? They got a lot of backs. They've overspent on backs. Like, do they know who their back five's going to be? Obviously, you got your Tedesco, your Tupou, your Swali, and Manu. But
Momorowski probably gets a spot.
It just depends if they play Suoliti in the centers of the wing.
Yeah, they will. I think.
Like, they got cover if in case like Kiri goes down, they put Manu to 5.
All right,
We'll get to
let's go to Lorenzo.
I'm sorry.
Let's go to ProEnzo. We'll get his opinion on the Roosters. ProEnzo, whose side are you on here? Are you on the Roosters drop off with CJ, or are you with Paddy with the Roosters as a top 4 contender?
No, look, they still should do some good things. Like with the team they do have, they should be at least near the competition favourites, I assume anyway. I guess the only thing that can stop them is their injuries again, if they're unlucky with the injury toll or just the hype. But, I do think that when you've got a spine of Tedesco, Kiri, Walker, and Smith, like that's just class. And like it's a spine that's probably going to take them the long way. So I think that's going to be one of their strong points this year. Look, they're pretty much stacked in every position, I think. Like maybe the halves that's a bit of a concern, but everywhere else they seem to be like well covered. Like their back five is pretty good. Their halves are trustworthy. I mean, if Kiri gets another concussion, then alarm bells do ring. But you got to think Kiri and Walker on their day will be fantastic together. And their forward pack's good as well. Like it's a really star-ridden pack. So I think with Robbo and this team, they should be going near the premiership, I reckon, and they'll go very, very close, in my opinion.
Walker is also a year older.
If they're not top 4, if the Roosters aren't top 4, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, prediction on the Roosters. Where will they finish?
I've got Roosters first.
Ooh, minor premiers.
Yeah.
Paddy?
I've got the Roosters third, but I'm very worried. You need to finish in the top 4 to win this competition. And I just reckon they're slow starters. They love to get suspended, some of their players. If they don't finish in the 4, they're no chance.
Okay. Wow, big call. CJ, where will the Roosters finish?
Yeah, I'm willing to put anything on it. I think they're going to finish 5th.
All right, fair enough. I've got them first. I reckon I'll be minor premiers. The only thing that concerns me is when they can't play at Allianz. I think they're playing at the SCG, and then they can't play there for a while. So the change of venue because of the FIFA Women's World Cup may affect a lot of the Sydney clubs, and it obviously will affect the Broncos as well. So we'll see how that goes. A lot of people are not talking about that, and you got to remember the back end of the year, it might hurt a few of these clubs that are going to have their grounds affected. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll move on from the Roosters. I'm going to go to the new kids on the block. The new kids. Or I should say the old retirement team, because they have literally they're a brand new franchise. Let's have a look at the Dolphins. So what they have bought, obviously they haven't lost anybody, but they've bought a lot of players, man. I'll just go through it quickly. Felice Kafusi, Jesse, Kenny Bromwich, Ray Stone, Brinko Lee, Tessie New, Edric Lee, Milford, Asako, Jared Wallace, Essie, Aiken, Marshall King, Eliza Katoa, Sean O'Sullivan, Robert Jennings, Mark Nichols, Cuddy Nikarima, Tommy Gilbert, Connolly Lamelu, Hamasai Tabuai Fidei, Oliver Gildard, and the other people are a bunch of nobodies, with all due respect. The Dolphins. Paddy G, the new kids on the block. What do you think about the Dolphins?
The reserve grade all stars, as I've been calling them this off season. A bunch of Melbourne Storm forwards, and then a bunch of dudes who are going there to try and play some NRL football instead of reserve grade. Look, it's on paper, I think it's the worst roster in the competition. Look, there's plenty of potential there. There's arguably more potential than other sides in the competition. There's just a lot of faces that we don't know how they're going to go. Even the ones we've seen at NRL level have been in and out. Outside of the Melbourne Storm boys, Kenny, Felice, and Jesse. Outside of those boys, their entire spine has been in and out of first grade at this point. I think Wayne gets them away from the spoon, but anything, if they get out of the bottom 4, I'll be shocked because I don't know what anyone can do with this roster with the greatest respect. If I'm Wayne, I'm honestly just building for the future and hoping they get this superstar because, look, November 1's already gone. All the big dogs are Trell, Dylan Brown, they've already re-signed. So we're probably not going to see a marquee signing for the Dolphins until 2025.
ProEnzo, what do you think about the Dolphins?
Oh, look, first of all, I will say I hate the fact how they just call it Dolphins. Like, really, they should have like Reese's in there.
Yeah.
You know, they need some identity. So I hate that how it's just the Dolphins. But yeah, no, how they go for this year? I don't know. It's a tough one because Wayne Bennett's obviously a great coach and he's proven before he can do some amazing things with just a few players and can really change the season and make an impact. But with this squad, you know, I don't know how much he can do. So it's tough. It really is tough with them because I do see him having some good moments and having some bad moments, and it's expected to start as a very slow time for the Dolphins because they're a new franchise, and I think all the new combinations and how their players that haven't really played with each other much, apart from maybe some of the Storm boys and some of the Queensland Cup players. That's the only players I think have played together in the past. So I think maybe, I think they'll be okay, but I have them in the bottom 4 at the moment, so I can't see them finishing anywhere above the bottom 4.
What do you think about them, Moxley?
Yeah.
About the Dolphins?
It's going to be tough to underestimate a Wayne Bennett and Christian Wolf coach team, but I look at their team, and like the other boys said, it's really just half of Melbourne and just a bunch of Queensland/New South Wales Cup players. I think they're going to take a lot of time to gel their halves, which I'd assume would be O'Sullivan and Milford. I don't really like the spine too much. I'm not really too sold on the spine. There's a few areas in their team that needs improvement. Obviously, they've landed no marquee players. Is there really a player there that they're going to build their team around? I don't know.
No.
Maybe the young Panthers halfback, but he's still very.
But he's not even. Yeah, that's true. But he's not even guaranteed to start, so that's one thing. Yeah, I think for their inaugural year they'll struggle, but they're going to continue to build under Bennett and Wolf.
This is my opinion on the Dolphins. They're shit. They're fucking shit.
Yeah.
Sums it up.
They're a new franchise. There's nothing to expect. If they finish outside the bottom 4 in the first year, they've done well. I'm not sure how they're going to go on the road. I think with the leadership of the Bromwich brothers, but again, they're getting old. They're not getting any younger. They're both in their 30s.
The game's moving fast.
They've got a lot of uncertainty in their team. I think there'll be a lot of chopping and changing every week. I think there'll be a lot of combinations that need work. I don't see them doing much at all. I think they're definitely in the bottom 4. I've got them 14th, which is the last spot of the bottom 4. I reckon they just get in the bottom 4. They might, they could be last, but I think they'll just stay in the bottom 4 for now. 14th for me. What do you boys reckon? Where are they going to finish?
Yeah, I've got Dolphins about probably 15th, actually.
Yeah, okay. It's all right. CJ?
Yeah, I've got them second last, 16th. They'll avoid the spoon.
Paddy?
Going with CJ. I got him 16th.
All right. Well, while we're on the theme of bottom 4 teams, let's continue with the bottom 4. And everyone's predicting this team to come last, and it's one that I'm trying to understand why they're going to come last, but I can see a lot of people's argument here. The Dragons. Nobody rates them. I'm telling you. Everyone I talk to, everyone that I talk to that is fairly noted around the rugby league community, nobody is giving the Dragons any hope at all. It's giving me Cowboys 2022 vibes. But the Dragons don't have the Cowboys of 2022 in their fucking team. But the Dragons, before we dissect them, let's have a look at what they've got and what they've lost now. St. George Illawarra, they have lost a bit. So they've lost Daniel Alvaro, Derek Sims, Josh McGuire, Jackson Ford, Jack Juleski, Possa Famasalia, and George Burgess. And what they've gained is some Queensland Cup player named Nick Louis Tosso. They picked up Jacob Little, Zane Musgrove, and probably the best signing for the Dragons for the year is Big Ben Murdoch-Masila coming over from the Warriors. Ben Murdoch-Masila is a good player. Everyone just shits on him because he doesn't get put in the right positions.
Other than Ben Murdoch,
the Dragons. Everyone's ruling them out. ProEnzo, I want to get your take on this, the Red V, bro. You've got him for the spoon. Everyone's got him for the spoon. They were 12-12 last year. They missed the 8 by 2 goddamn games. They would have missed it by 1 if they weren't. Magic round, they were robbed of the Titans, and then they were robbed against Canberra as well. So there's 2 games there that they could have made. They could have made the 8 last year. How does this team improve this year?
They don't.
Well, the only difference is that they don't improve, in my opinion. So, look, I know that they were close to the 8 and they were in a lot of games last year, but I think they've lost more quality over time, and they seem to have a squad where, it's proven that's not working. And I don't think Hook, the coach, has identified that quite yet. He seems to be really sticking solid with the wrong players, the wrong selections. And I just think that with the Dragons, their squad's average just in general, like their forward pack is shit. I mean, if you're having a starting front row pairing of Laurie, Musgrove, and your hookers, Jacob Little, well, how do you rate that above any other club? I think that's the worst one yet. So I think, the backline's obviously the better point of their team. But again, I just don't think there's a lot of inconsistent players in that backline. Like Lomax, Sully aren't trusted. Fair guy's a bit iffy as well. So I don't know. They're a very interesting team, to see how they go this year. But honestly, outside of Ben Hunt, they've got nothing. They're hopeless.
Yep. Oh, damn. Paddy, what do you think about the Red V?
Mate, they're a Ben Hunt injury away from going winless. You say that there were 2 wins away from the 8 last year. It was probably the easiest top 8 to make. The Roosters left it wide open. The Rabbitohs left it wide open. The Broncos did one of the great chokes in rugby league history. The Raiders had a massive resurgence because they were beating those teams that I just mentioned that were struggling at the time. They've lost their best young half, Amone, due to whatever's going on there. They've lost their other young half, Sullivan. Jack Bird's going to be injured for the first few games. Every other team that's below them has improved. They've gone miles backwards. They've lost Cody Ramsey. Griffin doesn't trust Sloan. If your best young player is a winger, they're in some strife. Jacob Little was bench reserve grader for the Tigers, who came last, was getting played behind Jordan Simkin. I think anything but last is good for the Dragons. Yeah. 16th is good for the Dragons. There are Ben Hunt. If Ben Hunt goes, they're not winning a game. Ben Hunt cannot. Cannot replicate what they did last year. Without Ben Hunt, the Dolphins beat this team by 50.
Oh, Jesus!
Anthony Griffin's going to be probably gone by Magic Round, so that'll add more off. Controversial, bro. Everyone talks about how Manly's season did fall apart. I'll admit that right now. At least the boys turned up to the function. 3 players turned up to the end of season function.
Yeah, exactly right.
3.
Shambles.
That's a club. Matt Cooper, a club legend, came out and gave it to the club. Mate, they're in some strife, not just on the field. Like I said, I'm worried about the more future as well as this year. Get the spoon once, whatever, but I do not see them improving for a long time. Murdoch-Masila, like you said, he's a decent buy for him. He's their best recruit. Dude was playing reserve grade for the Warriors.
Because they didn't use him properly, but fair.
But still.
Moxley, what's your take on the Dragons?
They'll be lucky to win at least 6 games this year. I think they're in a rabble. It's off-field and on-field for the club. I mean, outside of Ben Hunt, what player really stands out? I've never seen a club that has one player be the standout every single game. And also, like Lorenzo said, their forwards are so shit. It's becoming a retirement home at the Dragons. Anthony Griffin, he'll be the first coach sacked. I'm predicting him to get sacked in round 7. I don't think he's going to last the Magic round. Jacob Little, it's a massive downgrade from Andrew McCulloch, isn't it? And yeah, losing Sullivan and Amone, it's going to hurt him. And I can't find anything positive about them. But besides Ben Hunt, I can't really put my finger on anything good about the Dragons.
Yeah, look, I think they will be in the bottom 4 for sure. I don't see them doing much. Yeah, no, they're going to struggle. They are definitely in the bottom 4. But I'll tell you one thing. I guarantee you they won't come last.
I guarantee they will.
I reckon they will.
I've never been so certain on a team coming last this decade.
If they start slow and Griffin goes, they're
fucked.
I reckon Ben Hunt Magic gets them a couple wins. I reckon they're 2017, 2016 Newcastle bad.
Oh, geez.
I reckon a few cheap wins during Origin and some Ben Hunt Magic is the only way they'll win. Now maybe they'll pick up a win over the Sharks. It's a rivalry game and that can happen, but
it's all Hunt.
Oh, and Ben Hunt's 34. And it was only a few years ago Dragons fans were bagging him, and they've got so many injuries. They're I think they're 2016. I think they're 2016 Knights.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think there's two advantages for the Dragons that's going to help them. I think having the bye in round 1 will give them another week to prepare for the Titans. That'll give them another week. And the other thing that I think that'll give them a bit of hope, they're not going to be Origin affected. I think they're going to be okay.
They lose Hunt, which is going to.
They lose Ben Hunt.
That's about it.
That's bad.
I'm back. That Penrith team that played the Cowboys beats this Dragon side 13+ without Ben Hunt.
Oh my goodness!
I agree. That's fair.
I'd rather the Panthers New South Wales Cup side than this Dragon side without Ben Hunt. I don't want to keep saying without Ben Hunt because I hope Ben Hunt has a good season he did last year, and I hope he's injury free, whatever. But even with Ben Hunt, I think they're lost by a long way.
I think they can avoid the spoon. I really do.
I'd be shocked if they do.
I think last year they were very competitive. Yes, they did definitely get worse. I think there's another team that's worse than them, which we'll get to very soon.
I'll have to hear who that team is.
The problem with the Dragons is that they haven't got any depth. They get injuries, they're in all sorts. I agree with the Ben Hunt thing. If he gets injured, they're in trouble. That's a fact. But
today, the second
you look at this,
stood down outside of Amone.
They've got Lomax. They've got Sully. They've got some really good centers there. Sewer's a good player, man. DeBellin, he was outstanding in that team last year. Jack Bode.
They've got
a bit of who?
They're good, but
Jaden still got dropped last year, didn't he?
Not stand up.
I don't remember him getting dropped.
And Sully's coming off an injury, and Zach Lomax loves throwing passes into the crowd.
I think they do have a lot of old players, but they have a little bit of experience that might help them get away from the wooden spoon. Look, I guarantee you they are bottom 4. They will not be higher than 15th. They are bottom 3.
Their head coach is the reason why 2 players left. That's why
I think they can literally avoid last.
And their third, their best young fullback who won't even play, wanted to go too.
That's true.
They're a rabble. They're fucked.
They're giving Son another chance, but again, he's not trusted by the coach. I think Griffin will be the first coach gone. I think we all agree on that.
By magic round.
100%.
Jaden Sullivan's supposed to be out in round 2, but he's actually named in this week's Charity Shield, believe it or not. That's strange to me. So he should be good to go for round 2. Don't know. They've never won the wooden spoon in their history.
Yeah,
I think they can avoid it.
The Dragons did it. Not the Dragons. The Tigers got their first last year.
Yeah, but they're not the Tigers, are they? They're the Dragons.
Yeah, they're worse.
Yeah, they're worse.
They are like them.
They're pretty similar.
The Dragons' back line with Ben Hunt and the Tigers' forward pack. That's a side that could make the top 8.
You guys won't agree with this, but the Dragons, I think they're better. I think they're better than the West Tigers.
Nah, not this
No,
year.
I wouldn't say so. At least Tigers
think they
are
are.
forward.
I think that's right. I think the Dragons are better.
They're struggling to know what their fucking team
Look,
name is.
look, I'll
What's
say
that
this.
for club identity?
Look, I am defending the Dragons here. I think they'll still be shit. They will suck. Trust me. They will be hard to watch. They will be a very hard team to watch this year.
They don't
But I
even
think
know their club
they'll
identity.
come second. I think they'll come third last. They'll come 15th.
15th, all right.
If they make the 8, what are we doing? Because we need to do a forfeit.
We're laughing at
Okay.
ourselves.
Yeah, who
Oh
knows?
my God.
from there.
God,
We're
if they make the
getting what Nick did with the temporary Titans tattoos. We're doing them with Dragons tattoos. All right,
Oh,
boys.
Yeah, we're all getting Dragons tattoos. We're all coming
We're
on here
getting
and doing
Dragons
it. Getting in
tattoos,
the
and we're coming on here and we're praising Anthony Griffin and Ben Hunt for half an hour.
Mate, I'll tell you this: if the Dragons play finals this year, I will go live on YouTube and I will twerk on a table.
Someone screen
I'll join you. I'll
Oh,
join
well,
you.
it's recorded
Consider
now.
it
so-
done if
But
they
you're
make the
safe.
top 8.
But you're safe.
All right, let's move on from the Red V and let's go.
Last.
Let's go to ProEnzo and Paddy G's boys. Let's go to Manly.
Manly. Brookie.
Let's go to Manly. Manly. The Seagulls. Right. Let's have a look at what they've got and what they've lost. Let's go to the Seagulls. Right. They have got Kelma Tulangi and Ben Condon, and they have lost Jules Tafua, Sione Faunu, Dylan Walker, Kieran Foran, Kurt D. Louise, Martin Tapau, and Andrew Davey. And I think I don't know if I said Kieran Foran, but they've lost Foz.
And Dylan Walker.
I like the background, Paddy. It's very nice.
Perfect.
ProEnzo. Manly ProEnzo. What are you expecting from your boys this season?
Manly.
Okay, so without going on for too long, I mean, I can sit here for another hour and talk about this side, but no, I won't do that. No, look, I think what I expect from the team this year is a lot of improvement. So I say that as in like the squad we have, it's good enough to be a top 8 team. I've no doubt about that. I know that there's been a lot of change with like losing experience in Walker, Foran, and Davey and Tapau. Like that's a lot of experience that we've had for a couple of years now gone. So it's not easy replacing all that. But I think with all the rookies and you know our team is good enough to overcome that, in my opinion. So. But no, look, it's gonna be an interesting year. Like I don't know where we'll finish. I mean, I'm confident we'll make the 8, but we can even miss it. So I won't be too shocked. But I do think the aim is to finish at least above 11th. I think so. I think anything lower than 11th is a fail. But I do think with Siebes is the coach now, Seabold. I think he will be at least bring some new ideas, hopefully, and a bit more of a freshen up. So we needed that. But no, look, I think we're in for a good year. I really do think we are.
Paddy G.
I think anything below top 8 is a disappointment, to be honest. The club came out and said they got rid of Des because they think that the side's contenders. And Tommy Turbo fit. You can't sit here and tell me Tommy's going to be fit and we don't at least make the 8. I think if Tommy plays 20 games with a top 4 smoky, I think that we've got the games on his day. And I know if there's any player you can say, well, he's going to get injured for the season, I'm not going to include him in predictions. It probably is Tommy. But on his day, Tommy might not just be the best player, might be one of the best players we've ever seen on his day. We got one of the best wingers in the comp. Garrick, Cool is one of the best outside backs. DCE is still one of the best halfbacks. We got Schuster, who playing out of position in the forwards as an 18-year-old, getting touted as an Origin bench player before he got injured. Front row, it's a bit shaky, but I think if we move Jake into there, like Siebes is named this weekend, I think we're good. Tuolagi was the best player for the Tigers, who I know they got the spoon, and then Ola Kawatu is going to be a year older. So we proved last year before circumstances that we were a top 8 side without Tommy. You bring Tommy back in, considering his 2021 season, mate. I think people who have us near the spoon are insane.
Of course they are.
I think anything outside the top 8 is disappointing for Manly. I truly believe.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What's happening?
It has to be finals football.
Paddy G, I think your camera's not working properly.
Oh,
We were able to hear you very well, but we can't see you at the moment for some reason.
That's
CJ, Manly.
Yeah.
What do you think about Manly? They are probably one of the harder sides to get a bloody read on going into this season.
Yeah, Manly was one of the teams that I had struggling to find a spot for him. They're a really good team, really quality. You look at their spine, and you got Turbo, especially when he's fit. Schuster, a young kid coming through, he's done a lot to drop weight, which is good to see. He looks much more fitter. Cherry Evans, more experienced, another year older. He'll just do what he does. And Lachlan Croker, he's the Manly 9, but I wouldn't be shocked if that young Gordon kid ends up taking his spot at some point. I really like Manly. I like their backline. Lorenzo knows how much I rate Tui Pilotu, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. Yeah, bro, Manly for top 8 would not shock me, and I'm not saying this because Lorenzo and Paddy G's here. It wouldn't shock me if they made top 6, just because the quality in their team is so high.
Yeah.
And yes, everybody's going to go, oh, Anthony Seibold this, Anthony Seibold that. It's a new club, new ideas, new dynamics. Yeah, man, I think Manly's in for a better year. I think they can make the 8. I think they can.
You know what I find interesting about Manly going into this year? I don't think the pressure's on Tommy Turbo. I really don't.
Then who's it on?
The pressure's on him to stay fit. I think the pressure's on Anthony Seibold. Big time.
Well, that's the one people will look at.
Probably.
I don't. I think that Manly could come if there's ever a time a new coach is going to get to do whatever he wants, it's his first year.
Yeah.
I think Manly have completely. It was Des. They've got a general manager of football in. They've got rid of some of the Fultons to put a pathways manager in. They've completely revamped the football department. So while I'd rather Des over Seibold, I think the new direction the club is going in is one I prefer. And I think that Seibold is here for the long term. And I think as long as Seibold does what he did in 2018 with the Rabbitohs and doesn't have to go into a toxic culture, and I know the Pride Jersey thing just happened, but I do believe that since Des and some of the Fultons have gone, that maybe it isn't such a toxic culture anymore.
You've got Shane Flanagan there as well, which is a big addition.
Yeah, true.
And he knows he doesn't have to rebuild the joint like he did with the Broncos. As long as he doesn't do that, doesn't have to bring in the next Brodie Croft, then I think Manly fans can get excited, especially if Tommy's healthy.
Yeah.
Tell you this. I think this might be Anthony Seibold's last opportunity as a head coach. Did well at Souths, then he went to Brisbane. That was a disaster going up there. We all know what happened up in Brisbane. A lot was to blame on Seibold up there. A lot of it wasn't his fault, but I'd say 85% of it was on him. If Shane Flanagan as an assistant can't get Anthony Seibold good results, then there's something really wrong there. I think Seibold and Schuster are the main ones this year that have pressure on them. Obviously, Tommy Turbo's injuries are pressure, but I think Schuster going to 5'8", boys, is one that it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And now he's dropped 15 kilos. He's off the McDonald's. Last year, he was carrying a goddamn beanbag around his stomach. He's dropped the kilos. He looks good, looks fit. I don't know if he's a 5'8", but I'll say this. Josh Schuster at times can be absolutely brilliant. Other times, he can be very, very overrated, in my honest opinion. I'm a fan of Schuster, but he needs to find that right balance. I don't know. Manly are a team where I'm just like, I could put him in my 8, or I could put him out of my 8. I don't know where to put him. I'm going to put him 11th just because I don't trust the injury toll and I don't trust Seibold as a consistent NRL coach. But if Manly do play finals football, I would not be surprised at all. Top 4 would be impressive. I think they're a team 6 to 11 range. I've got them 11th. I think they'll be improving.
All right.
Where will they finish, boys?
I have them 10th, but like you said, the quality in their team, it wouldn't shock me if they go as high as 6, but I have them 10th. but I wouldn't
Yeah.
be shocked if they go higher.
ProEnzo?
Yeah, I've got them 8th. Like, could be higher than 8th, but I've got them the 8th.
Yeah. Paddy?
5th.
Oh, of course.
5th, and,
But yeah, no, fair enough.
and I think Tommy stays fit. I think we're top 4.
Okay.
True, it's fair.
All right, we'll see.
I don't know if we're in
Let's
final
go.
brackets or not. I reckon we make a prelim.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Okay,
Fingers
now we're
crossed,
getting a bit bold.
No, I reckon
All
we
right.
make a prelim.
Let's go to the Gold Coast.
The premiers of 23. No, I'm joking.
Oh, I don't.
I thought
even know
we'd
where
do
to
an
begin
NRL
with this team.
preview.
Let's get into the
Titans,
Gold
eh?
Coast, boys. I don't know what the hell these guys are. I don't know what the hell the Titans are going to do this year. Let's have a look at what they've lost. So they've lost Will Smith, Kevin Proctor, Jermaine Starko, Jared Wallace, Herman Esiesi, Greg Marzu, Isan Masters, Corey Thompson, and Sam Lasone. And they've picked up Joe Stimson, Chris Randall, Sam Verrills, and Kieran Foran. The Gold Coast. Last year, the hype was real, and they failed miserably, as I predicted to happen. This year, there's a little bit of hype about them. Some reckon they're going to be pushing for the top 8. Some reckon they're going to be in the bottom 4 again. Paddy, the Gold Coast, do you see them improving this year?
I think they have to. I think, though, that there's deeper issues at the Titans than what's being put on the field at the moment. A year ago, were coming off a top 8 appearance, their first in a while, and they let go of their halfback, which was seen to steal the most important position on the field for Toby Sexton. They then put all their eggs into a spine they were settling on for the future with Brimo at 6, Sexton at 7, and Campbell at 1. Half a year later, Sexton's gone and probably won't be their future. They've panic bought Kieran Foran and moved Brimson back to fullback. So I don't know what's going on with the Gold Coast. I think there are deeper issues on the field. I think Sam Verrills is a great buy, and I think he could be their long-term number 9. And I think he is an improvement from Clark. On paper, I think this team is probably better than the one that made finals during 2021. But there's so many teams better than them on paper still. And I think that Holbrook is not probably at fault here, but there are some issues at that club.
CJ, the Gold Coast, what do you think about them?
Yeah, you might hate to hear it, bro, but I think they'll improve. The addition of Sam Verrills is really good. At number 9, they got their long-term hooker. Kieran Foran, yes, he's had an injury past, but I think the Titans needed a leader and a veteran in that halves. I think that's what they lost in Fogarty, and they added back with Kieran Foran. Dave Fafita, Tino, they're going to be on their A game. AJ Brimson, I think he's going to improve this year personally. And I don't see any reason why they go backwards. I think Justin Holbrook's a solid coach. I don't think they're finals or anything like that, but I don't think they're also wooden spoon.
ProEnzo Vidz?
Yeah, look, I think with the Gold Coast, this year's the interesting year just because they have made some changes to their spine and they actually do know what most of their spine looks like other than other years that they didn't. So, but I like the additions of Verrills and Foran. I think Verrills is a big buy because he's done some great things at Roosters, but goes to different systems. So how he goes there is interesting, but should go well. Foran, it will be massive, I reckon. Like, I think he's in for a big year. He hasn't even got a real injury since 2020 at the Dogs. So really, he's stayed injury free for a long time. So he should kill it. But their forwards are pretty good. Their backline's a bit 50-50. Like, I'm not too sold on some of the players in their backline, but their 4-pack's strong enough to take them to some bigger heights this year. So they should improve.
Gold Coast.
Mickey, they need to come.
Where do I begin? My God.
Winning.
Hang on. This is the Gold Coast.
Great
Good
place to have
Lord.
a party, though.
Mate, honestly, I think they're the worst team in the comp. I think they're horrible.
I know you hate them, but I can't agree.
I think they have one of the worst teams
Is
going.
that who you've put below the Dragons?
Yeah, they're going to come last. They're gone.
No.
Everyone in the comments is going to agree. Just saying.
on,
quietly.
Nah, they're gone. They're gone, boys.
Everyone
I think
loves
Holbrook.
Broncos.
I think Holbrook's lost the dressing shed too. I do.
think that.
He's a good coach, though. You can't deny that.
How can the Titans be 14 days away from their season opener and not know who their fucking halfback is? They still don't know.
I think they do, bro.
Is it a
mate?
boy?
Foreign.
They said it was
Foreign-
boy.
No, they never, because they said that
They said it was boy.
Didn't Holbrook say
Holbrook
boy?
come out and said Tanner Boyd will be the halfback. And then he come out a week later and said, I'm not sure who the halfback is yet. How stupid.
I think he doesn't know because I think there's pressure on from people above him making these decisions. There's no way.
That's crazy.
There's no way he sacks. Doesn't sack. Sorry, lack of a better word. They move on Fogarty to put a halfback in, to move Brimson out of fullback to 6 for young Jaden Campbell and completely change that team after 1 year. There's no way. There's no way.
The Gold Coast, you know what they've done? They have ruined Toby Sexton's fucking career. I'm telling you right now.
It's only paid 10 games.
They had Fogarty, right? They had that experience half and they did pretty well. They let him go. They gave Sexton the year. The Titans went dog shit. They have dropped Sexton. They've bought in Foreign. So they've just gave Sexton a chance in first grade. Now they're saying to Sexton, nah, we're going to go with Foreign and Boyd, or we're going to go with Brimson and Foreign, or whatever.
Smart.
Toby Sexton's now stuck in Q Cup. Now, is he ready for NRL? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe at the Dolphins, maybe at the West Tigers. But what are they doing? They're going backwards. They haven't experienced half. They let him go. They bring a kid in. And they don't know how to develop kids.
I agree with you, Nick. And for this point, because my spine could be completely different. Who's going to be new a comp? Toby Sexton, Tanner Boyd, or Jaden Campbell?
I would probably go with Jaden Campbell.
I think most people would go with Campbell, and somehow he's the one who they're planning to move on. I thought the logical step would have been Campbell at 1, Brimson at 6, because that was the decision you made a year ago, and play Kieran Foran at 7. Instead, they've gone, let's put Campbell in reserve grade. Let's put Sexton in reserve grade. Put Tanner Boyd at halfback, a guy who played a few games last year but has mainly been a utility, and put Foran at 6, where probably Tanner Boyd's playing.
I'll tell you what's sad. Tanner Boyd had 3 good games to end the year. Now he's the 5'8" or halfback. So 3 games is proven, is it?
Well, that is the concern. They don't got much there, but I think that's what Foreign's been.
This fucking team on the Gold Coast can't even win a game in Sydney for their life. Their record in New South Wales is the worst out of any team in the comp. They are an embarrassment to the game. They are horrible. They have, look, outside of Tino, outside of Beau Fermor, and outside of Jamin Jolliffe, their forward pack sucks. David Fafita is an overpaid, washed-up has-been. Isaac Liu has committed career suicide. He's gone backwards. He wants to go to the fucking Warriors. But they lost Jared Wallace, which I think is a bit of a blow. He was good for them. Sam Lasone, why would you let go of one of your best props? He was outstanding for them last year. They're garbage. Aaron Clark's garbage. The whole club's garbage. Sexton, Brimson, fuck me. They've got no wingers. Jojo Fafita is very inconsistent. I like Aaron Schott's a good signing. Brian Kelly's a hot and cold center. Patrick Herbert absolutely sucks. He hasn't recovered since that elimination final against the Roosters, where it cost them the game. This team is a disaster. They don't have anything going for them at all. They are going to run last. I hope Holbrook keeps his job because I rate him as a coach. But this club is in for a disastrous year. They're going to get the wooden spoon.
Jeez, bro. That was a
I
random.
don't find any positives of the Titans at all.
Not even the
Interesting.
addition of Foreign to organise the team.
Kieran
not
Foran
Ferris.
won't even last till round 5.
What?
No, stop it.
Nah, bro, that's crazy talk now.
Kieran Foran gets one injury to the shoulder, that's it. They're fucked.
That's
Yeah.
the case, but it's been about
How old's
3
Foreign?
years. I don't know. He's
How
like
old's Foreign?
33. But he's like,
Okay,
it's been
well-
3 years since an injury, hasn't he?
There's your problem right there. Buying a 33-year-old a half to save a club that's never had success in their history. There's the problem right there. They should be developing Brimson and Boyd as the halves, Campbell at 1, and Verrills at 9. That's what they should be doing, going with the future. But instead, they're going with a 30-fucking-plus-year-old halfback who's one
but
injury away from retirement.
last
This
time
club
they made
is a
finals, they had
backwards
experienced
disaster.
half.
And if anybody out there has them in their top 8, you are a delusional fucking clown. They will be nowhere near the top 8. This team finishes higher than 11th, I'll be impressed. They are a fucking disaster. I'll say it again. If the Gold Coast Titans, actually, get this on screen record. If the Gold Coast Titans make the top 8 this season, I will be very, very fucking impressed. They are a disaster. They are a fucking embarrassment. They are in for the worst year. They're going to get the wooden spoon. They're gone.
Oh, jeez.
Gone. The
Fuck,
Dragons are
bro.
better than them, and they suck as well.
No.
The Dolphins
Yeah.
will win more games than the Titans. You know what? I reckon the New South Wales Cup Panthers could beat the Gold Coast at this rate. I genuinely believe that.
I mean, probably. They beat Power.
Goodbye, Gold Coast. They're fucked.
They did
Anyway.
beat Power.
Anyway, I've got them last. Where do you guys have them?
I have him 13th, bro.
All right, that's all right. That's all right. Paddy, where you got them?
I got him 12.
Okay, Lorenzo.
Yeah, same as Paddy, but don't worry, Nick won't attack you if you have him anywhere above or anywhere last. So.
Mate, these cunts make the top 8. I'll genuinely be fucking shocked.
I agree with you. I agree with maybe not the words you chose to use, but I agree with the points about the club as in terms of their future. They, for lack of a better word, ruined Ash Taylor's career. I know you probably didn't rate him, but in my opinion, there was something there with Ash Taylor. He got Rookie of the Year over Nathan Cleary, which is probably the greatest thing he's ever done, but it's still something at the very least. And then they've done it to poor Sexton. So something's got to change. I don't know whether it's Mal.
I think we all remember that I retired Ash Taylor, remember?
Jesus Christ.
At least Ash hopefully doesn't have to work again after that Titans contract. Hopefully Ash is on a boat.
Let's move on. Let's move on from this disastrous club who are going to go horrible. Let's go to Melbourne. The Melbourne Storm. This is going to be interesting. I think Melbourne are one of the most intriguing teams. So they've picked up Tarek Sims, Joe Chan, and Eli Katoa. They've lost Nofaluma. Well, he was only on loan anyway. Kafusi, the Bromwich brothers, Tom Apea, Chris Lewis. I think Chris Lewis is still there. Cooper Johns and Brandon Smith. CJ, what do you think about Melbourne going into this season?
Yeah, look, I don't like him, but I think they're going to do well, man. It's Craig Bellamy's last year, and that's what it comes down to. Their spine is still it's a top spine still. You got, Pappenhausen. Yes, he's going to be out for like 6 to 8 weeks, and they got good depth. Munster, Hughes, Grant. I think they're going to be fine. Yes, their forward pack has weakened a lot, but, dude, they've added to their team Tarek Sims, that's experience. Eli Katoa, a young kid coming through. He's going to be really good for him. Aaron Penne's back at the club. Young Tom Apea is back there. I think they're going to be fine. I really think that off the back of their spine, they'll do some good things this year, Melbourne. I am a little bit off them, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. ProEnzo, what do you think about Melbourne?
Yeah, again, a side that probably has a lot of expectations to, I guess, back up a disappointing season, I guess. Well, not that disappointing because they still managed to make the finals despite having all these injuries and stuff. But I guess to their standard dropping from being a top 2 side every year to 5th is a bit of a drop. So I think their goal is probably to try and get back into the top 4 this year, and I think they will. But losing Kafusi, the Bromwich brothers, Smith, and losing Hines and Finucane recently as well, still a lot of quality that they've lost over time. And I guess to not really replace them with the biggest names, like Sims is good, but not a big name. Joe Chan, nothing about him, no knowledge. Katoa has potential to be another Isaiah Papali'i, but not in every case it can work. In that Storm system. So I do think they're going to be good again, but again, I think they'll just be better.
Paddy, what do you think about Melbourne?
I think if this was nearly any other team, we'd be talking about how they're on a decline, but it's the Melbourne Storm. It's Craig Bellamy. I agree with Lorenzo. It's a disappointing season because it's Melbourne Storm. They've gone from being minor premiership contention every year to a finals week 1 exit. Considering Pappenhausen still isn't back to running, I think 6 to 8 weeks is very generous. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see him till maybe Origin, maybe after Origin. And even then, speed's his main thing. I think that with Melbourne, it's the first time where we've gone, there's no Nico Hines coming through. There's no Dal Finucane on the bench. I think the only thing that's making me probably keep him as high as they are is they've got Harry Grant, they've got Munster, they've got Hughes, and they've got Craig Bellamy. Harry Grant, it's the first time he's going to be playing 80 minutes with Brennan Smith gone. I think he'll be fine. I won't overthink that, but I just think there's still a few teams above them. I've got them pretty low considering it's the Melbourne Storm, but I think they play finals football.
Okay. Melbourne for me, guys. I've struggled a little bit this season, eh? I think they're a lot weaker than what they've been in previous years. I think they're really weak. I think they've lost a lot of leadership. It's going to be very interesting to see how Christian Welsh goes coming back from his ACL injury. No Pappenhausen for the first 6 weeks is a bit of a blow. Although Nick Meaney will do the job if he is the fullback for them. Can Harry Grant play 80 minutes at hooker? He's never really had to do that much before. New combinations in the back row. Right side defence still a concern. I think Melbourne are going to play finals. I don't even think they're even close to a top 4 team this season. I think they're going backwards, boys. You know what? I've got 2 things to say about Melbourne. Yep. Number one, I would be surprised if Melbourne made the top 4 this season. And number 2, I don't think Melbourne are any threat to the competition at all. I don't think they're a contender. I think they're a pretender.
That's big, bro. That's big.
I agree with you on both.
I haven't said this about Melbourne for a very long time. I think if there's one year they could miss the 8, it's this year. I think they'll do enough to make it. But something about Melbourne is putting me off. I don't know how they're going to go away from Melbourne. They usually go pretty well, but I think with the amount of teams improving, I think Melbourne could be a bit vulnerable away from Melbourne this year. There's not much that's bloody intimidating about Melbourne this year. Munster's probably the scariest player they've got. Hughes has his moments. I don't know. I'm concerned.
I wouldn't.
Last year revealed that they were beatable. I think that this is going to be the year teams are most confident they can beat Melbourne since arguably early Bellamy years. This is the most beatable Melbourne team there's been for ages, and I do agree. I think that they're not just one tier below the 3 contending teams, but I think they're maybe 2 or 3.
Fuck it. I'm saying it. I'm going to say it. The Melbourne Storm are no chance to win the premiership this year. No chance. I'm writing them off. I'm doing it. I know
I don't
you shouldn't do it, but I'm doing it. I'm right.
I
I'm
don't think
wrong.
that
Shouldn't do it, bro.
I don't think they make a prelim.
May ever. I reckon they're out first week of finals.
I reckon they're gone first or second week.
Yeah.
Got to
me
remember
too.
last year, dudes, they were injured basically all year.
Don't care.
Yeah.
They lost experience and they got weak.
Oh,
They've also got a bunch of new combinations.
just the Melbourne
Yeah, too
system,
many.
man.
And their right side defense with Remus Smith and Jennings is one of the worst defensive sides
That's
in
their
the
weak
comp.
side, yes. That's
Kenny
their weak-
Bromwich has been an unsung hero on that left
Yes.
edge with the ball playing on recent years. Tarek Sims or Ellie Couture, all they're going to do is run a line. Like,
Dude,
can
will
Owen
Melbourne
get the
really-
ball in the wing?
Will Melbourne really go out in week 1 and send Bellamy off like that after everything he's done for them?
Bellamy's
I-
been saying it's his final year forever at this point.
I think this one's probably it, but I don't know.
It could be.
Bellamy won't.
I don't know. Boys, I'm not convinced.
Fuck. Man.
Anyway, prediction for Melbourne. I have got them finishing 8th.
Oh.
I've got Melbourne 4th.
Yep,
Ooh.
I've got Melbourne 2nd. I think they're dangerous.
I've got him 6th.
All right, Paddy.
6th.
All right, interesting. All right, let's move on to my boys.
This will be interesting.
Cowboys. I am excited. I am so excited as a Cowboys fan. I have not been this excited for my own goddamn team since probably 2017. The North Queensland Cowboys in 2022 come out of nowhere and they were very good. I have not been this excited for a long time, and I reckon this is a year of a lot of potential for the Cowboys. CJ, I want your take on the
Yes.
Cowboys, bro. What are your thoughts on them going into this season?
Yeah, personally, I do rate the Cowboys, and I think they can replicate 2022. I look at their team; it's a lot of young players coming through. They've just extended the contract of Jeremiah and Nenai. I think that's a really big advantage for their club, so they know where they're going for the future. I like their whole backline with the likes of Kyle Felt, Val Holmes, Murray Talangi. They'll only get better. Their halves, Tom Dearden, I thought he was really great last year, and I think again he's only going to develop into a better player. Chad Townsend, that experience leading the club around is going to be good. Peter Hickory, I thought was an unsung hero for the Cowboys last year. I think he's going to get better. Yeah, man,
100%.
I am high on the Cowboys this year, and I think Todd Payton is the right coach going forward. And they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. Now, I just want to go to the gains and losses quickly. I forgot to mention that at the start. The Cowboys lost Dejan Assi, Kane Bradley, Brendan Fry, Emre Peru, Ben Condon, Connolly Lamelu, Hamas Atabiwa Fado, and obviously Tommy Gilbert. And the Cowboys gained Jemet Shibasaki, Jack Joweski, and the experienced Cowboys legend himself, James Tarmo. I probably look. I like the addition of Jajeski. I think he's good background depth. Tarmo's just experience, and Shibasaki is just probably depth as well, which is good. It's good. It's good to buy depth. Paddy, I want your take on the Cowboys, bro. What do you think about them going into this season? Last year was a success. What do you think about them going into this season?
They were actually probably my hardest team to predict because they're one of the few teams on paper that have gone backwards, but they've got a lot of young players you only expect to get better. In saying that, I've mentioned all predictions that I think the Roosters and Rabbitohs are going to improve, which means a few teams have to make way. I don't think the Cowboys drop out of the 8. I don't think they can replicate what they did last year. I mean, they've got the draw of heaven again, so they have every chance to. They only used 20 players by Origin Game 3 or something ridiculous last year, so they're going to have to rely on that. To CJ's point earlier, and it's probably the only criticism I can give the Cowboys, and I'll get the popcorn ready for Lorenzo and you in a second, but when CJ mentioned earlier, Suli's only been good for 1 year.
Yep.
That is literally the entire Cowboys team.
Yeah,
You know, it was this time 12 months ago, Tamalolo was getting traded, Val Holmes was overpaid, Dearden and Townsend in the halves.
That was fake news.
Are you serious? Drinkwater's got to be there. The Hammer's the future. He's not even there anymore. I think Tom Gilbert is a bigger loss than most people are giving credit for. I do think the Cowboys have the caliber to replace that. I just think they're not going to have the same luck as they did last year. I feel like either them or the Sharks, there's always that team we tip every year that has a really good season, and we all go, they've got to be there again because look at the future of the club, look at the players they've got. And I just think that they're going to have to make room. I think there's a lot of pressure on Tom Dearden this year because I think teams will realise Townsend did so much for them and didn't just had to run the left corridor. I think they have to change the way they play. I still think they make finals, but I still think that they're a couple years away from contending.
Okay. Very interesting.
Get the
Very
popcorn.
interesting from you, Paddy. As long as we're in the top 8, I'll take it at this point, to be honest. Because we all know the saying, boys. You make the 8, anything can happen. It can. We know this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Anything
It
can
happened a
happen.
couple of years ago. You finish in 8th. You could make a grand final. You can make a prelim. You just don't know. ProEnzo, in your preseason predictions, we saw you put the Cowboys in 9th, and I broke a couple of things because I was very upset. But again, it's your opinion. I am going to judge you on this. I'm looking forward to this conversation, my friend. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys this season, ProEnzo, Vidz? I'm looking forward to hearing this.
Here we go.
Yeah, so look, apart from where I think they'll come and everything like that, I do think the Cowboys have potential to still be a threatening type side if they get it right. Like, obviously, Dearden's a great talent. Val Holmes found his best footy again after, I guess, some dud years before that. So, there's definitely some redemption stories and some actually good things happening for them. But, I think it's a case of most sides, and it's like, some sides obviously have that big year where they come up and, shock the world and, make top 4 or just overachieve and just, really shock everyone in general. But then there's always a next year where I guess some players aren't the same as what they were the previous year. Things change, like, maybe the same tactics get worn out. And, things can change in 12 months. Like, anything can happen in that space of time. So, nothing's guaranteed, and that's why I have Cowboys coming 9th, because I don't believe that they'll replicate the same form as they did last year. And I do think that they will sort of make a big drop. So I know that obviously it's a shock to everyone where I've had them and stuff like that. Like, I've heard it all, but look, it's going to be either them or Sharks. Like, I'll be fair, it's either going to be them or Sharks. They'll have that big drop off and shock everyone by going very low. But I see it being the Cowboys.
All right, so okay, I'll respond to that in just a moment. So for me, like, obviously, as a Cowboys fan, I'm expecting a lot to go right this year. The thing is, last season, they were very good away from Townsville. They did go pretty well in Sydney. Usually their record in Sydney was garbage. They won against Manly, the Dragons, and the Sharks down there, and they lost to the Panthers, the Roosters, and the Rabbitohs. So they were 3-3 in Sydney. They won in Canberra. They won at Brisbane. They won at the Gold Coast. They did pretty well away from home last season. Now, going into this year, I don't think they've lost much. I think Tom Gilbert's the main one. I really do. I think Gilbert's the main one. Hammer was coming off the bench and playing 5 minutes. So the Hammer was always going to go. Gilbert's the main one. But you lose Tom Gilbert, and yes, Tamo probably is a downgrade, but James Tamo brings experience. He brings leadership qualities. I don't expect Tamo to play a lot of footy. I think he's just there to help the young ones come through the system. The other thing you got to take into account as well is last year, the Cowboys, they finished third, made a prelim, beaten in controversial circumstances. How hungry are the young kids going to be after that? When you see a team go really deep in a final series, when you get so close, the young kids, Tulangi, Nanai, Cotter, all these sort of kids, right? Dearden, Griffin Neame. We talk about, I hate saying this word, but the second year syndrome bullshit. That is one of the most toxic sporting words in the world, in my opinion, nowadays. The kids are young. They're going to improve. They're not going backwards. They're only going to improve. Some of them might go backwards, but a lot of them are going to improve. A lot of them played Origin last year. They're not going backwards. A lot of them are improving. A lot of them are getting better. How many times are the Cowboys going to lose in Townsville? Their record up there when they're going well, it's a very hard place to win. Trust me. You go to Townsville and when the Cowboys are going good, very hard team to bloody beat. I promise you. It's like going to Penrith and Melbourne. It's very tough. It's very tough.
You just spoke
coaching
about
Todd Payton. It improves. I think the Cowboys improve and go one better this year.
You just spoke about how hungry they might be. They could also be very deflated. Like you said, I know it's an 80-minute game of football. In the way they lost, they should be coming off a grand final appearance.
They should.
There's a world in which we saw it with Paramount in 2009. We saw it with the Cowboys in 2017 to 18. The big one there is that they didn't have an immortal coming back into their side and maybe got complacent. But there is a world where maybe Todd Payton's setting them up hills and they just go, I'm knackered. I'm running out of steam. I'm exhausted. I'm deflated. Now, they're NRL players. They shouldn't think like that. You should be right. But there is a reason the word second-year syndrome exists. And Ruben Garrett, one of my favourite players, his second year compared to his first was very poor. Very poor. And even Tommy made Origin in 27, didn't make Origin in 2017, was close. And in 2018, he had a pretty down year and Manly came 15th. So it happens. It happens. And I just think that with the teams coming through, I think the Cowboys are one of the teams who are going to make room for them.
See, we will get to the Rabbitohs and a few other teams very soon, but you have a look at the Cowboys. How many times are they going to lose in Townsville? Like, the lowest I see the Cowboys is probably 6. I don't see them dropping that
How many
low.
times are they going to win in Sydney?
We don't play a lot of games in Sydney.
I know, but still, it's like you're only going to play half your games in Townsville.
I think we play 5 or 6 in Sydney overall. I think it's 6. We don't play much in Sydney. So, like, the draw was on our side. We got a lot of home games. We got a lot of long turnarounds, a couple of short turnarounds. I think the improvements there. I don't see the Cowboys dropping. I honestly think we have one of the best, well-balanced sides in the comp. I think we have one of the most underrated packs. I think the spine's underrated. The players improve. This team is not going backwards. There is no way. I know it could happen, but I think we are. I don't want to compare it because a lot of people are going to get upset when I say this. You know how Penrith had that real big year when they just fell short and they had all them young kids and no one thought they were ready for that next step? I think the Cowboys are in a similar position to what Penrith were in 2020. They made that grand final when they just fell short against Melbourne. I think the Cowboys are in a very, very similar position. But we'll see over time. We'll find out. I think the only thing hurting the Cowboys at this point is probably the games that we have to travel to. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think they're going to be very hard to beat up in Townsville. We'll see. I think they all improve. I really do. And I think the Cowboys are in for a huge season. So, predictions. Where will they finish? I've got them second.
I have them 4th. I think I'll just get into the top 4.
You got them 4th? I'll take 4th.
Yep.
Paddy?
I had them 8th, but I'm going to make an audible. I'm going to drop Eels to 8th, Storm to 7th, and I think the Cowboys go 6th.
I'll take 6 any day of the week. Lorenzo, have you still got us 9th?
Yeah, I do.
Fuck you, you
Lorenzo's
bastard.
actually, Lorenzo's actually going to drop you to 11th.
When I see you on
you
Saturday,
gotta know.
Lorenzo, I'm gonna shoulder charge you into a bin or something.
Oh,
Run
no,
straight.
no.
All right.
2 days, eh? Okay.
All right, let's move on to the Broncos. We'll try to get through these other teams quite quick because I know it's getting late and I've got to get up really fucking early in the morning. So the Broncos, boys, we'll go to them. We'll head to the Bronx. They have lost Albert Kelly, Turpin, Hoskins, Gamble, Lee, Martin, Mead, and Asako, and they've gained Alphas, Jock Madden, Martin Tapau, and Reece Walsh. The Broncos, boys, what do you think about the Broncos?
I like them a lot, actually. I think the Broncos, I'm not going to take anything from last year into account for this year. I think they've got such a good team. I really like their pack, the likes of Carrigan, Hetherington, Haas, even Tapau off the bench. He looks good, but that was only trials, so we don't know just yet. Even Palacia. The Broncos, you got their halves pairing of Ezra Mann and Reynolds. Their whole team looks pretty good. I think last year they have to improve, and that's the only way. The only way is up now for the Broncos. I think Tony Staggs is probably one of the only few players that really need to give it a go and step up. Cobbo's only going to get better because he's only going to keep developing. Reece Walsh being back at the club is a bonus. I think the Broncos, I really rate them this year. I think they're going to do something good this year.
All right. Interesting. Paddy G, the Broncos, what do you reckon about them?
Just
I
the
think
hooker
they're
position, that's a concern.
I think they're a great side on paper. The hooker position is definitely a concern. I think they've got a lot of young guns who are coming through who have been around for a while now, so we sort of know what to expect from them. But when 2 players in the space of about 3 months come out and bag a coach, it shows to me that there's probably a culture problem there. And I think that they're still probably a year or 2 away from finals football.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. ProEnzo, what do you think about the Broncos?
Well, I rate them. Like, I think they'll be like a team that breaks out this year and has a very good year ahead. But look, I've been having some second thoughts recently. I'm not going to change anything, but seeing how the publicity about all their dramas come out in the media that fast and everything like that, it's a real concern. So, I don't know. There's definitely some lingering issues, that's for sure. But look, like I said, I do think they're in for a big year if they stay injury free.
Yeah. For me, the Broncos, I think they're one of those teams where they will be in the they'll be in the race for the 8. I don't know if they get there. Kevin Walters still hasn't proven that he can get this team to the next level. There has been a few off-field incidents that need to be sorted, and I think most of them have been sorted. I think what's going to affect the Broncos a lot, boys, is when they can't play at Suncorp Stadium and they have to play at the Gabba, they have to play at a different venue, which means they're going to have to change the way they play because their style of rugby league can't be the same as what it is at Suncorp compared to when they play at an AFL ground. So
but surely they'd have the advantage because they get better chances to practice there and etc. stuff like that.
Yeah, true that, but I just feel like playing on a different ground, it'll be very different. You have to change the way you play in those situations. You do. You really do. So, look, for me, the Broncos, I don't know. I still worry about the hooker position. I'm not fully sold on Ezra Mann. Reece Walsh is a bit of a, he's a good kid, but he's a bit hit and miss as well. Reynolds getting older. I do rate their forward pack a lot. I like their backs. I don't know if they are going to make the top 8. I don't know if they're going to win enough games. We'll find out, but I don't trust them, boys.
You can't trust
the Broncos.
You can't trust them after they were in 4th, beating the Eels after round 19, and everyone thought, oh, fuck, is this a contender? And then, boom.
Yeah.
True.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the Broncos. I really. Anyway, so boys, where have we got the Broncos? I have got them I've got him 9th, I believe. Yeah, I've got him. Oh, no, 10th. So I got him in 10th.
I have the Broncos in 7th.
Oh, okay. Paddy?
I've got the 6.
6th.
I've got them 11th.
11th. All right.
Wow.
Fascinating. All right, let's go to the Bunnies.
Yep.
South Sydney Rabbitohs. A few more teams to preview. I didn't realise how long we were going to be on air tonight, boys. We've been on here longer than what I thought. We'll try to get through these ones a bit quicker. So, no disrespect to these other teams, but it's getting late, so we've got to get through these ones fairly quick. We'll go to the Rabbits. The Bunnies, they have gained
No one. Yay.
Oh, they didn't buy anybody. Fuck, I can't believe it. And they let go of Nichols,
yeah.
Nicarima, Mansell, Kenner, Jackson Paulo. Mostly the Rabbits.
Richie Kenner.
What do you reckon about Souths?
Huge loss, Jackson Paulo. Huge loss. I don't know how they'll recover.
That can't fucking cost us. Nah, you know, just keep on.
What do you think about
They were that good last year. You bring back Latrell Mitchell, hopefully, for a full season firing. We got to get through this quickly. I think we all know where the Rabbitohs are going to finish. I've got them 2nd.
I'll take that. Love that.
Oh, 2nd.
Lorenzo, Souths, what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, they'll be fine. Like, obviously, they're a consistent finals team, and they can keep Latrell fit in the field and have Walker, Ilias, Cook do their thing, and they'll still be a very, very good side this year. So I do think with Dimitri having another season there, he'll get them up and going. So I do have them in the top 4 as well.
Yep, for me, for my beloved Bunnies, I think we'll improve. We should be a top 4 side this year. We came close last year, kind of, but a few inconsistent games dropped us off. Another year with our spine together will be really good. We just got to keep Latrell on the field. Another year under with Lockie Ilias, who took us to a prelim in his first year, so that's impressive considering the whole post-Bennett and Adam Reynolds era. Jason Demetrio did really well for us in his first year, and I just think the team, I think it's stacked, and I think we're in for a good year, and I'm really excited for the year ahead. I think we can do something special.
Yeah.
Look, for me, boys, I think Souths do have some weaknesses in their team.
I think their forward pack's still a little bit light for mine. I think they probably need another prop. I think not replacing Mark Nichols was really, really stupid. I really believe that. They should have bought somebody.
That's what the Saluka Fafita signing's for, I think.
Well, it's a downgrade. So,
yeah, I'll get.
Look, I still think South Sydney are going to be a very competitive side. I think they are a dark horse. I think they could win the premiership this season. It's definitely possibility. Not many people are picking them to win the comp. Everyone's talking about Penrith and Roosters and all these sort of sides, but I think Souths can contend with the rest. It's just a matter of if they can win a prelim and get past that next level.
Fucking hope so. That's the dream, isn't it?
Anyway, the Rabbitohs, I think they've got some quality with Latrell, Cody, Murray, Cook, all these sort of players. What do you think, boys? Where will South finish this season?
3rd.
Yep, 3rd.
3rd?
Yep, 3rd as well.
2nd.
Right. What about you, Paddy?
2nd.
I've got him 5th. I think I'll come 5th.
I'll take anything in the top 6.
Let's go to the most hyped up team going into this season, the Bulldogs.
Canterbury.
A lot of hype around the Dogs. They have bought a lot. Let's have a look at the Bulldogs, guys. So,
bought, not bred.
All right, they have picked up Reid Marnie, Viliame Kikau, Ryan Sutton, Andrew Davey, Franklin Pele, Jacob Preston, Josh Reynolds, and Carl Alupu, however the heck you pronounce it. And they've lost Josh Jackson, Avasi Manafanaya, Wakeham, Allen, Dury, Stimson, Vaughan, Harrington, Dufty, Marshall King, and Naden. Bulldogs, boys, I've got a lot of hype about them. I've got some quality in their side. Paddy, do you like the Dogs this season? Are they going to make the top 8?
On paper, they should make the top 8. There's a lot of hype around Cameron Serrato, obviously after Penrith's success, and he's been touted for a long time. Every year, the Dogs make a bunch of signings, and I think they are going to improve. I don't have them in the 8, and I get ridiculed by their fans, which I love the passion. But I'm going to do the same again this year. Until I see improvement on the field, I just can't put them in my top 8.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, cool.
ProEnzo, the Bulldogs, what do you think about the Doggies?
Yeah, like they're expected to do so much this year with all these new signings, and Kiki Armani, a big signing, don't get me wrong. And I think Serrato has potential to be a great coach, but again, things don't just work out straight away after, I guess, making their team a lot better. So obviously, you know, the hype there is real with the Dogs this year because they've made a bit more signings and changed their team yet again, but it doesn't all click in one year. So I do think that there could be some building still. So, but they'll definitely be a bit better this year. Like they will be, I reckon.
CJ, the Bulldogs?
Yeah, they'll improve. They've obviously, we all know the big signings, Kickow, Reynolds, Marnie, all that. They can be a dangerous team this year, I think. They can definitely play finals. The hype around Serrato, see if that lives up to expectation. There's a good feeling around Belmore. Gus has come in and has helped that club a lot. It's just about getting the combinations right early. And yeah, man, I think they're a threat to come in the years.
I think they're improving a lot.
All right.
I think the Bulldogs are improving a lot. I reckon they're making the top 8. I like them. I think they can make it. I think the addition of Kickow, Reid Marnie is going to make a huge difference to them. Kyle Flanagan's going to have to play very well this season. He's going to have to really do a lot more, which could be a concern. The fullback position is still up in the air, which does concern me. But they do have Stephen Crichton coming in next year. So I think whoever plays fullback, whether it be Parham or Avarillo, they are only a placeholder for Crichton, which might make them determined to play a lot better. So I think Cameron Serrato is going to come in and he's going to do a tremendous job. I think the Bulldogs play finals this year and they finally improved. I think that forward pack goes a lot better this year too. I like them a lot. So where do you have them, boys? I've got the Bulldogs in the 7th.
I got Dogs coming. I think I had them 10th.
Yep.
Yeah. So all of this off season, even heading into the video today, I had him in my top 8. However, I'm gonna drop him out, and they're gonna come 9th. I have a feeling they're just gonna miss it. They're another year away, I think. Yeah, I have them 9th, but it wouldn't shock me if they play finals football.
Paddy, where have you got them?
I got them 10th.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's go to the back-to-back premiers. Penrith. This team is very hard to beat. We know this. After this, we've got 2 more teams to preview, and then we're going to get into the other predictions quickly. Penrith. They have lost Coruscant, Staines, Katoa, Jennings, O'Sullivan, Hopgood, Crichton, and Kickow, and they've gained Garner, Peachy, Hosking, and Cogger. I think they've lost a lot of quality. Paddy,
To 2 names.
what do you think about Penrith?
They lose Kickow, they lose Abby Coruscant, but they've got Mitch Kenny coming through, who might be the best number 9. Look, let's just get to the facts. Whatever position they lose, and they're going to lose, based off their success in the juniors, they have the next best one coming up. So
They have a reason for it, yeah.
it might take a while, but what's scary is Cleary's a year older. Yo's had another year to gel. Luai's a year older. To'o's a year older. This team is still one of the youngest, if not probably still is the youngest in the competition. Past few years, it's taken some incredible efforts. Rabbitohs in that qualifying final. Parramatta last year at home. Outside of those 2 games, they only really lose during Origin period. If they're at their best, no one beats them. Simple as that.
Yeah. ProEnzo, Penrith.
Yeah, no, Penrith for Penrith, they're going to still be competitive this year. Still seeing how they've kept most of their squad despite them being raided by the Bulldogs. They've done well. They've done well, and I think they will be top 4 again than they should be. They've still got a quality outfit of players, and Penrith should be top 2 for me.
Yeah. CJ, what do you think about Penrith?
I think Penrith have a reason to move on some of their players. They're going to keep looking towards the future. Appy was getting older. Billy Kickout's getting a bit older as well. They're juniors, man. It's only going to get better for them. I don't like them, but I can respect how they run their club. They're only going to get more dangerous because their team is still developing, and that's the scary thing about the Panthers.
Yeah. Look, for me, I don't reckon they'll lose much at home. I think at Penrith Stadium they'll be very hard to beat. What the hell's going on here? Pressing on bloody people now. Penrith will be very, very hard to beat at home. I think Kickout is a big blow, but I think losing Coruscant is going to really hurt them a little bit. Mitch Kenny, he'll do the job, but gee whiz, I don't go that much on Mitch Kenny, to be honest with you. Everything else about them is very good. Cleary and Luai, they'll do what they do. There's not much of a weakness in Penrith, but it's just a matter of do they have the hunger to do the free pay, because it's very hard that third year in a row to get up, especially late in the year, and they're going to be origin affected pretty badly. So it's about giving them rest when they need it. How hungry are they going to be come finals time? It's going to be interesting, and every team's out to get them after that little video they did on social media. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Penrith go this year. I've got them finishing third, boys. Where have you guys got them?
Top. They'll finish first. Minor premiers again.
All right.
I reckon second place.
I've got back-to-back minor premiers, so same as CJ.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's go to Newcastle, and then we'll go to Canberra, and then we'll get into the other predictions. So the Newcastle Knights, fellas, they have also spent a little bit of money in the off-season buying players and whatnot. The Newcastle Knights, they've picked up Lachlan Miller, Jack Hetherington, Adam Elliott, Tyson Gamble, Greg Marzou, and Jackson Hastings, and they have lost Mitch Barnett, Edric Lee, Momatia, Tex Hoyt, Sawasa Sue, Saulo, Randall, Brendan Musgrove, and David Clemmer. Paddy, what do you think about Newcastle?
I can't begrudge them. Whether they made the right decisions or not, they've tried to come out and spend big. I think Ponga moving to 6 just screams of desperation, considering he's had massive concussion issues at fullback and you want to chuck him into the front line. I think Hastings is a great buy, especially if they can keep him long term, but I think they're another team that's got bottom 4 written all over them, and I think Adam O'Brien will be lucky to be the Newcastle head coach in 2024.
Yeah, wow. ProEnzo, what do you think about Newcastle?
Yeah, I don't really rate Newcastle either, to be honest. Like, their team isn't awful. Like, it's not as worse as what I think other clubs have theirs, but I think just with them, it's about consistency. I guess it's just about, how they gel, because they are known to not be able to gel on field and stuff. So, the pressure's on Adam O'Brien for sure, and I don't think he'll survive the season, in my opinion. So, a lot of things will go wrong, I reckon. That's why Hastings been there and stuff.
CJ, what do you think about Newcastle?
50-50. They could either improve or they'll just stay where they are. Adam O'Brien's obviously under massive pressure. Jackson Hastings is there, which is good. They finally got an organising halfback again. That's something that they missed when Mitchell Pearce went. I think they've recruited well, Newcastle, but there are some concerns in that team still. So they could be a bolder, but I don't see much improvement, unfortunately.
Look, I'm so torn on them. I think they can do a lot of good things this year, the Knights. I actually have them finishing 13th, which is just outside the bottom 4. If Newcastle make the top 8 this year, I actually would not be that surprised. I think they've got a lot of good things going for them. I like the side 30 boys. Adam Elliott's a great pickup in the middle. Kurt Mann will get better. I don't like Ponga at 5'8". That's what turns me off him.
Nah, me neither.
I'd probably rate Newcastle more next season than what I would this year because of the addition of Kai Pearce-Paul and Will Price from the Super League. But I don't know. I think Adam O'Brien's going to keep his job. I think he's going to survive.
Ooh.
13th might not be promising enough to survive, but you got to remember Adam O'Brien's record. His first 2 years, they made the top 8. They went out week 1, and then last year was a disaster. So Adam O'Brien's 2-1 in his 3 years of coaching. So I don't think it's fair to put the pressure on him and throw him out the door. I really don't think that's fair. So hopefully Newcastle improve a bit. Hopefully they go a lot better because they are a very passionate fan base. And when Newcastle's going good, the competition's going better because they always get big crowds out there, 25 to 30,000. I've got them 13th, but I could see them pushing for the top 8. I really could. I think Hastings is going to be a great pickup for them. So I've got them 13th, boys. What about you?
14th. I have them 14th.
All right. Paddy, Lorenzo?
I've got the 16th.
Yeah, I've got him 15.
Oh, the poor old Knights. And the final team to preview before we get to the other predictions, we've got the Canberra Raiders from the nation's capital, the Green Machine. Let's just have a quick look at what they've got and what they've lost. The Raiders, they have picked up Danny Levi and Pasami Saulo, and they've lost Sam Williams, Ryan Sutton, Harry Rushton, Charles Nicholl-Klukstad, Adam Elliott, and Josh Hodgson. ProEnzo, Vidz, we'll start with you. The Raiders, what do you think about them going into this season?
A team that should not be underestimated, I think. I think that they are a team that can finish as high as 6, I reckon. So, but the thing is, they can finish as high as 6, but they can finish as low as 12 or 11. So they're a very inconsistent side, and I think that's the same case with them in 2023. Look, I like Canberra as a club. Like their forward pack's really strong. They get it all going. But, look, I'll be honest. I think Canberra are in for another inconsistent year. So it just depends on how Wine, Savage, and all them go, I reckon. So we'll see how they go.
Yeah. What about you, Moxley?
Yeah, the Raiders are a team, but it wouldn't shock me if they had a dramatic drop-off, but it also wouldn't shock me if they had a dramatic rise. They're a very hot and cold team. I think they had the momentum they had going into the finals was really cool, but that's all irrelevant now. Yeah, the Raiders, I think Ricky Stewart still has what it takes to take him to another final series. However, unfortunately, I do think they drop off this season. And Jared Croker hopefully plays 300.
I hope so too. Paddy, Canberra?
I think they're another team that's hard to predict. They didn't have Fogarty, hence the slow start. They went on a rapid fire and winning 14 of 16 or something ridiculous amount of games to sneak into the finals after they looked like a wooden spoon favourite early on. Wouldn't shock me if they were in the 8. Also wouldn't shock me if they just miss out. I just think that they're one of the few teams that hasn't improved this year, so I just can't find the room for them, unfortunately.
I find Canberra very similar to Brisbane. They could easily make it, but you can't trust them. You just can't put your trust in the Green Machine. There's just something about them. I think their forward pack's one of the best in the comp. I really do. But another year of Fogarty, do you trust him? He's getting old. They've got some incredible outside backs, the likes of Sebastian Chris, Matthew Tomoko, just to name a few, Xavier Savage, James Schiller, Hully Smith-Shields. I've got some exciting kids coming through, but it's just a matter of the consistency. Last year, they were going to miss it, and then Brisbane had a drop, and then Canberra found a bit of form, and they ended up getting into the top 8. And they knocked off Melbourne, and they got the week 2. So they did well last season. On paper, they're probably a top 8 side, but I don't believe in them. I don't trust them enough to put them there.
Yeah.
Boys, I've got Canberra in ninth, which is a tough spot to finish, but I reckon I'll come ninth. What about you?
I've got Canberra finishing 11th.
Okay, all right, yeah. Moxley?
Yeah, I'm with Lorenzo. I have them finishing 11th as well. I think they drop off a bit.
Paddy G?
I'm with you, Nick. I think they come ninth.
Terrible. Ninth is terrible to finish, but I reckon it might happen.
Don't want
better
to
than
finish
10th.
but
All right, there all the season previews done. I can't even talk us 2 hours, but it did.
how good are they?
All right. Top try score prediction 2023. Who is going to be the top try scorer this season? It's very hard to predict. There's one player that's obvious that everyone's going to pick, but ProEnzo, we'll start with you, my friend. Who will be the 2023 top try scorer?
Mine's a bit bold, but I think I'm not the only one that would predict it. I think I have Selwyn Cobbo getting it this year.
Ooh, nice. Nice. CJ?
Yeah, I'd be silly not to back AJ in again, would I? Yeah, I'll back AJ in again. I know it's boring, but it's one of my boys.
Yeah.
I think AJ, and I think he'll get 28 this year.
Paddy G?
I'm with CJ. I'm going the obvious choice. No one's had an answer to fucking South's left edge since the days where Robert or George Jennings was getting top try scorer. I think AJ with Latrell and Cuddy inside him is in for another 28. Let's go with CJ.
I'm going to get called biased here, but I don't care because I can see him scoring a lot. I'm going to go with Murray Tuilagi, Cowboys left winger.
Wow. All right.
If the Cowboys go well as I predict them to go, and if they finish top 4, I think Tuilangi's a good shout. So I'm going to go Murray Tuilagi for the top try scorer this season. All right. Top point scorer prediction. Top point scorer. Always a tough one to select. Paddy G, who are you going with?
Now that Pappenhausen's ruled out, I'm going to go pretty boring again. I'm going to back the hottest man in rugby league, Ruben and Garrick. I'm predicting Tommy to have a healthy season, and I think down that left edge, he's just going to get plenty of service. He just kicks at 75%, and he'll get top point scorer. Probably would have got it last year too at fullback without Tommy if it wasn't for that injury at the end of the year. So, going Gaz.
Yeah. ProEnzo?
A bit of an obvious choice, but I'll go with Nathan Cleary.
CJ?
Yeah, a bit boring as well. With Lorenzo, I think Nathan Cleary as well. He's just, Nathan Cleary.
I'm going to go with Latrell Mitchell.
I'll take that.
His goal kicking for South. He'll probably score a lot of tries as well, which will make his points go up even higher. We saw that with Valentine Holmes last season. So I'll go with Latrell Mitchell to be the top point scorer of 2023.
Hope so.
All right, let's go to the Coach of the Year prediction, fellas. Who's going to be the 2023 Coach of the Year?
All right.
ProEnzo, you go first, mate.
I reckon it'll be just Ivan Cleary again.
Okay, nice. CJ?
I'll go Craig Bellamy. I think in his last year is going to round it out with that accolade.
Yeah. Paddy G?
I'm going to go Ivan Cleary.
I'm going to go with Cameron Ciraldo.
I
think if the Bulldogs make the top 8, which I think they will, Ciraldo has to be in the conversation for Coach of the Season. So I'm going to go the rookie coach, Cameron Ciraldo.
I think Bulldogs have to make top 4 to him. You get a mention.
Maybe. All right. Buy of the year, fellas. Who's going to be the best recruitment of the year? I love this one. Is so open, I reckon. Who's going to be the buy of the season?
I reckon it'll be Brandon Smith, the cheese for Roosters.
Yep. I think that's the favourite too.
Yeah, I'll go a
CJ?
bit bold. I think Luke Garner for Penrith. I think he's going to explode.
Ooh, that's a good one. Paddy G?
I'm gonna go real boring again and go. I think Abby Coruscant is just gonna. I think he'll be like Ben Hunt, where he's just like clearly the best player on his team.
Yeah, I'm going to go. It's probably a bit boring, but I reckon Kickout will be the buy of the year. I think at the Bulldogs it's going to work. I really do. I think Kickout will be the buy of the year. All right, we've got 2 more predictions to go, and then that's it. Boys, who is going to be the 2023 Dally M medalist? Will Nico Hines go back-to-back? Are we getting someone new? ProEnzo, who's going to be the 2023 Dally M medalist?
I think it's finally easier to get it, and I think this year, with the year he finally receives the medal he should have gotten a couple of years ago, I think it'll be Nathan Cleary this year.
Yep. All right. Paddy G?
Us Manly fans stick together. I go on Nathan Cleary as well.
Oh. CJ?
Yeah, there's a lot of hype on him, but yeah, look, I might be biased here, but I'm going to go Dally Mitt, Latrell Mitchell.
Yeah, all right. Interesting. Very interesting. Look, I've been swapping and changing my Dally M throughout the show, boys, and I'm so torn on it. No one's gonna pick this. The 2023 Dally M medalist for this season is going to be Mitchell Moses from the Eels.
Ooh, wow.
Mitchell Moses will win the Dally M.
Hopefully.
No one will predict it.
Huge call.
It's a big call. No one will predict it. All right, here we go. The big one, boys. The big one. The NRL 2023 Grand Final prediction. What's it going to be? What's the Grand Final? I just want to reveal a spoiler. I am going to have the Cowboys in my Grand Final regardless. So,
yeah, cool.
We're going to start with Paddy G. Mate, what's your Grand Final looking like for this season?
Bit boring. People may have guessed it. I am going the Penrith Panthers versus the Sydney Roosters.
Ooh.
Hope not, bro.
Interesting. Very interesting Grand Final. CJ, what's your Grand Final, mate?
I'll go Souths and Penrith. We get the redemption. We'll win the comp.
Wow. ProEnzo.
I reckon it'll be the Roosters and the Rabbitohs.
Ooh, I fucking love that.
All right, for me, it's hard, boys, because you just don't know what's going to happen. All right.
Cowboys
Nick from Australia's 2023 Grand Final prediction. I believe it's going to be the Cowboys, obviously. Not even being biased, I reckon the Cowboys can genuinely push this season. I'm going to go the Cowboys versus... You guys are going to laugh, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think I already know this.
The Grand Final this year is going to be the Cowboys versus the Eels.
Wow.
Is this because of what happened on call last night?
No, nothing to do with it.
Do you genuinely think that?
I think Parramatta's Grand Final lost last year. I think a lot of their players are going to learn a lot. They have finals experience. I think Josh Hodgson is a good replacement for Reid Marnie. I know he's older, but Hodgson's got experience. I think they've got depth in the back row if they get injuries. I think it's going to be a Cowboys and Eels Grand Final. We saw it in the prelim last year, and we saw how good of a game it was up until the controversy. I think we're getting a Cowboys-Eels Grand Final this season. Penrith are going to be dethroned by someone. The Roosters are going to have issues with Keary. Souths are going to lose another big game because that's what they do in finals. Cronulla are going to choke. Melbourne are gone. I think the Dogs are probably a week one finals team. We're going to get a Cowboys and Eels Grand Final this season.
Nah, bro. Do you
No
genuinely
one's going to predict it to happen, but I think it will happen. And
You genuinely
based off
believe
my
that?
latter prediction, it will be a second versus sixth place grand final.
Wow, bro, that's a big call, man.
It's going to happen.
You get it right, but fuck, props to you. But
Penrith
It's
are going to
actually-
lack the Penrith are going to lack the hunger for a free-peat. The Roosters are going to have an issue with Luke Keary, so they're going to be all over the place with their team. I think Melbourne are weak, and I don't reckon they're any chance. I think the Rabbitohs are another prop away from being in that
Fucking
grand
lose
final,
another one.
and I think everyone else. I don't think everyone else has got it. Cowboys Eels grand final. It's happening.
Most teams
But
got
there
more than
is-
Arrow, to be
There's
honest.
a team none of us have mentioned, boys, and they have the greatest wild card in rugby league history, and that
Let me
is
guess.
Tommy Turbo.
I thought you were going to say something else. Totally.
Tommy Turbo and Manly are going to make the grand final, and that was a lie. It's going to be a Penrith Manly grand final, and Tommy Turbo is going to win everything.
Let's hope so.
I just need to go to the live chat for a moment. The King has put a donation in. Let's go.
This is
Ha 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 ha. Yeah. The Eels versus Cowboys grand final. Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's going to happen. But we'll find out. Again, it's a predictions. We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen
Last year-
except for me. I'm a genius.
Last year, everyone picked Cowboys to come last, and look what happened. So we don't know what's going to happen this year. And I'm just saying, the Cowboys Eels grand final, it's not unrealistic. Both teams were in the prelim last year. It's not unrealistic to happen. So we'll
No,
see.
Tigers Titans grand final.
All right, boys, we're going to wrap it up. I'm bugging. We've been here for 2 hours and 20 minutes now. ProEnzo, CJ, Paddy, thank you for coming on the season preview. It's been a fantastic time.
Wow. 2 hours, eh?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Boys,
bro. Thanks
I know
for
some
having
of
me,
you-
man. It's been great.
I know some of you boys have got work tomorrow and whatnot, so go get some sleep. Boys, thank you for coming on. If you guys haven't subscribed to ProEnzo, Paddy G, and CJ, make sure you do. The links to their channels are in the description box below, so click on it and smash the subscribe button and subscribe to me as well. Turn notification bells on. Anyway, guys, we're getting out of here. Have a phenomenal Thursday night, and next time you see me on YouTube, we'll be on the way to Sydney tomorrow when I do a live
Let's
review
go.
of Warrington against Leeds. Anyway, everyone, have a great night, and we'll see you all in the next one.